Scrooge.
Yeah.
My man.
My dude. My guy.
Okay, so in the previous week, I sent you hints about this upcoming podcast
Yes,
episode.
you gave me the vaguest of hints possible. Like you were like, "Hey, this movie's got people and things in it."
It has to do with L.A.
First guess,
let you know.
people. Second guess, things. You got it? And I'm like, no.
So I had to give you better help, and I said, okay, it's about. I think I did say it's about L.A.
It's
and
LA
gangs.
and gangs, which is again so fucking vague because there is so many movies about LA's and gangs. Okay.
And then I sent you a picture. You got the picture, right?
Yeah.
You got the picture. It was the main character, Jay Quinn.
Yeah, but it was like, again, it was barely any information whatsoever.
No,
Nothing prepared me for
nothing.
this.
And that was, I think it was an alternate cover or something like that. Because the actual cover, which you saw when we clicked the movie,
Yeah.
it looks like a Photoshop version of the actual movie
Yeah,
poster. It looks fake.
I've always wanted to see the behind the scenes of people that worked on crappy movie posters.
Yeah.
Because that's always been like...
They knew it was bad.
Yeah,
so
that's what I love. Is like they know it's bad. It's one thing like movie posters make the movie, you know. But I've always want to see bad movie posters.
100%. Well, I am AC.
This is Scrooge.
Oh, you almost forgot your name there.
Oh well, it's the drugs.
Yeah.
I said this is Scrooge. You know who
100%.
this? You know who this is. Bitch, you know who this is.
It was all that cocaine from Carlo Giovanni. That's
So
why.
much cocaine.
But yeah, and we are.
Oh, is it my turn?
That's waiting on you to say
Oh,
it.
thanks, man. We are the Real Men of Action, and this is...
The Real Bad Movies podcast.
Wow, you didn't even know it. That's crazy.
Capiche? Well, the movie in question today is 1994's L.A. Wars.
Good Lord, nothing. The man, you know, it's actually, I do appreciate his tradition. He says he likes to watch the trailers first before he pops the movie on. And so he asked me to turn on the trailer for this gem of a movie, and just from the beginning of watching this, it's like a 5-minute trailer that's just pretty much the movie.
It explains the entire movie.
The entire movie with nothing, like no voiceover, nothing. It's just literally just scenes cut out. I'm like, this movie is absolutely ridiculous.
And how I stumbled across this movie, there's a movie called Young Rebels that was directed by the same guy who we talked about a couple weeks ago, which was Amir Shervan, who made Samurai Cop.
R.I.P.
Very well known, yeah, as one of the best, worst movie directors of all time. After watching that with a couple of friends, this movie came, because what's cool about Amazon Prime is that you watch one movie, a lot of the time it'll suggest another movie.
Yeah, almost like every video streaming site of all time.
Exactly.
Right,
but
so it's
more special because I got recommended L.A. Wars is pretty much what I'm saying.
Okay.
You don't get L.A. Wars on Netflix, I don't think.
No, you're right. That is funny though, because you are right. There are these streaming services where literally they just pick up. Well, actually, wait, hold on a second. Let's be real.
Okay.
Netflix, they do that, but with new shitty movies.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
could literally spend like 10 minutes surfing through like just brand new awful B movies that they have out. But you're right, they don't have old ones. So that is where like Prime and other like Tubi and all the other ones that you've showed me have all the old.
Yep, and they'll recommend you. It doesn't matter how bad they are. If they're somehow related to it, and
they'll pop it over to you.
Exactly, and LA Wars is essentially that. It's essentially very similar to Samurai Cop. It's very similar to the straight-to-video home market. And yeah, we picked this movie because it just looked interesting, and I watched the trailer at my buddy's house, and holy shit. It looked amazing from the trailer. Come on, you have to admit it looked amazing from the trailer.
Amazing in the terms of like insanity, it's literally the punchline of the action movie jokes that we all make. If we're really into film and you really like critiquing film as like a fun, fun go-between and for conversation and stuff, it's literally the punchline of action movie jokes that we make. That's exactly to the T. Bad
100%.
dialogue, bad writing, bad acting.
The writing is decent, and I will stand up for it.
Why?
100%.
Where was it decent?
Like
when
I
they're
said,
yelling out exposition.
We'll discuss it. That's bad dialogue, okay? Bad. So when you think, okay, I get it. I get what you mean. You mean bad writing is bad screenplay, correct?
Yes, correct.
I'm saying bad. I'm saying good writing, not bad writing. I'm saying good writing in the sense of the plot. I actually personally think that the
You
plot.
mean the idea?
We'll
Like the
talk. We'll
genesis of
talk
the
about
idea?
it. But like the
Okay.
way everything goes and the way the story moves, like when we get to the climax and stuff, I was actually pretty surprised by what happens in this
Okay.
movie. Doesn't say much about this movie.
Well, let's actually. I can go to the IMDb
Sure.
synopsis for you that I think describes it the best way, which is when a war in the streets
No,
becomes
no, no, no,
personal.
no, no.
No?
Deeper voice.
Oh, right.
Very, very cinematic.
When war on the streets becomes personal, no one is safe. Guzman, a small-time drug lord, takes on Giovanni, the biggest mafia boss in L.A., igniting a war.
Well, he's not only the biggest mafia boss in LA, but they say in this movie he's the biggest mafia boss in the country.
In the country, like
a
they have
big
the
status.
balls, the name. There's, I can guarantee you, except for back in like the 30s with like Capone and people that really did run the country. There's no mafia boss that ever
No.
has that much power anymore. Are you
No,
kidding me?
You can't operate in an entire country. That's not how it works in the drug lord.
Business? What do you want to call it?
Yeah, yeah.
trade?
In a drug word, I didn't really know what word to use there, but yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how this movie was made. Which is funny to me that we're both looking at IMDb, and I noticed something as well. This movie came out January 1994, and do you want to know what country it
What?
came out with?
What country?
Same one as Samurai Cop, Germany. They're eating up this shit for some reason. It's that straight to home video shit.
We could have a whole discussion about other movie genres that the Germans just absolutely eat up
They eat that shit up, dude.
completely. All they have to do is
nuts.
slap a really weird German name to it, and it is totally eaten like sauerkraut on a bagel.
Mm-hmm. And for this one, we have two different directors, and I actually think there's two different directors because I think one of them probably ended up leaving.
Probably.
And then they gave the project to the other guy. I think that's one of those possibilities. Got a couple screenwriters as well, so this wasn't, like a screenwriter and writer-director kind of thing because there's multiple directors and multiple screenwriters. Some of the cast that we talked about, our main guy, the main cop that we'll be talking about tonight, is Jay Quinn. His real name is Vince.
Jay Quinn.
You were making fun of these people's names.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Vince,
Because we got Vince Murdaco, Mary.
sounds like a porn star.
Well, if you like a little bit of background on our man Vince, let me.
Mm-hmm.
This is I have to read because I came across this. This is his IMDb bio. Vince Murdaco, gained fame in the kickboxing world. Told you he was definitely a martial artist. Kickboxing world, he was the North American Cruiserweight Champion. Soon he made the transition from kickboxing to film like many world champions back in the 1990s. However, Vince made his film debut in a softcore porn comedy, Flesh Gordon Meets the Cosmic Cheerleaders, 1990, as
Flash Gordon.
as the titled character.
You want to know what he was in right after that?
It's Kickboxer 2, The Road Back.
I love that name for a sequel.
Oh
It's
my
amazing.
God. So this man has been busy. So he was in this.
Busy.
And then-
My ass.
He's been real busy. Then we got Mary E. Zibler, A.J. Steffens, Johnny Vancour. Like, I mean,
Yep.
these names are way... Rodrigo or Blanaga.
Oh yeah, and you're only getting about 3 out of like the 70 people in this movie that actually have pictures for their names
there's
on
only- yeah,
IMDb.
literally,
which we've
because-
talked about makes you semi-important if you have a picture, or you just know how to upload a photo.
I was going to say, it doesn't take much effort when you literally just have to upload a photo, because I'm pretty sure I tried making an account at one point, and I just never did anything with it.
Yep, professional extra, Scrooge.
Oh, and don't forget, Too Modest AC. I mean, that's exactly how we met.
True, of course. And let's talk real quick. So this one guy Guzman that we talk about, it says he's Colombian, I think. It doesn't really say
The
where he's.
Guzman.
Yeah, he died in Colombia, but he didn't say where he's born, so I'm gonna assume he's Colombian. He was in a couple other classic horrible movies. Collateral Damage, which you have said is a very bad Schwarzenegger movie. Is that correct?
It's a subpar. I love Schwarzenegger, I do, and he pretty much, I can watch him almost anything, but it was just boring.
Well, he became governor in like the mid 2000s.
Literally after this. So he did Terminator 3, which in my
which was
opinion,
like 2000.
that was 2003.
Okay,
And
so
then-
this was before it. Collateral Damage was 2002.
It says it was the last. It wasn't released until after.
They probably filmed it before.
So they filmed it before, but then they released it after, and that was the last movie before he went to become the governor.
He was Rodrigo in that movie, and his real name is Rodrigo as well. And then also
Big shocker.
I've heard bad things about Hard Ticket to Hawaii. I've heard this movie is really bad as well.
Wait a minute, I think I know about that movie. I've seen clips of it. It sounds so awful.
And Savage Beach. I don't know if you ever heard about Savage Beach.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Look,
I'm looking through his filmography.
Exactly. Look at the cover of Savage Beach. It's literally just two blonde women who look like they're twins. In the background is a very scary ninja.
So scary. So, oh my God, this sounds 100%. Awful.
Yeah, but
you were going down the rabbit hole.
Anyways, yeah. So this movie was, I'm gonna assume, a straight to home video. There's no way the fucking hell this was in theaters. No. Maybe some like art house theater took it or
Porno
something.
Theater, maybe just as a courtesy to the director.
Flash Gordon coming back. They were like, we had such good success of Flash Gordon, and I guess we're gonna just take this as well. But no. Okay, we've got to discuss this movie in and out because. How I came to you about this, I said, Scrooge, I've got a bad movie for you, but at the end of the day, I didn't think it was that bad. I watched it twice before I showed it to you within the past week. First time I saw it, I thought, this is awful, this is terrible. And then second time, I was like, next time I'm just not even going to watch it, and we're going to watch it together and figure it out.
I was right on, because I was expecting revenge for Anaconda, so I wouldn't know what to expect.
You were definitely going to get it, and LA Wars came to me at a perfect time. So let's get into it, okay? Right away. We have this movie starts. Well, let's let you start because I've seen this movie 3 times already. So, we were talking about the intro of this movie and the generic cinema, American group cinema or something.
It was like a really bad ripoff of the Universal logo with
American Cinema Group. That's what kind of generic.
Probably they went to their lawyer and they asked them what could they do for a group production company that wouldn't get them arrested or sued for copyright.
Exactly.
And then they're like, American group production. That's good. And then they're like, perfect. Now, we like that Universal logo. Why don't you do something like that?
But we're on the Earth, right?
Yeah.
We can put the Earth in the movie.
Welcome to Earth.
The Earth's not copyrighted.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just slap an Earth with a title on it, be fine.
Perfect.
That's exactly what it is.
Such an 80s intro, and I love it. It's the Simps as well playing over it. It's like you're getting ready.
Yeah.
And the first shot of this movie, besides the credits, because the credits we were just joking about all the
names,
how bad it is. But I think my favorite part of the intro is the first shot you see is of a limo and some kind of, I don't know if it was I'm not really a car guy, but it was some other kind of car as well. It looked like a shady kind of car. I don't really know cars.
Shady kind of car.
Yeah, very shady car because of the lighting and the smoke.
Yeah.
If you're underneath a freeway, which
it definitely was like a limo. Yeah, it was the stereotypical you got. It's at night. It's under a bridge. It's ominous with a blue light, and then there's smoke everywhere.
Just pouring out.
Everywhere, covering them for no
100%.
reason. No one's talking. They're all wearing... Well, one side's wearing... That's another thing, too, you see in a lot of these movies. They got to distinguish between the gangs. So the one gang has all suits. The other are dressed like they're going to like a track meeting.
Yeah.
And so there's always usually like the difference in gangs and how they're dressed in a lot of those movies.
A lot of the time, it depends, but the drug dealers are usually the guys that wear the jeans and then like the leather jackets, because there are some guys in this opening shot that have the jeans and the leather jackets as well. And usually when you're buying drugs, a lot of the time you usually have a suit. But usually it's the opposite. But this movie
depends.
It depends.
Depends on the movie, because sometimes like it depends on what kind of drug dealers we're dealing with. Most of the time, usually suits, but sometimes I notice you'll have different ones with like the different gangs. Where one's super dressed, the other one's not really. I think it's because they just didn't have enough production value to actually get everybody all dressed up. So they just like, wherever you want.
Wear what you want. We're gonna just put fog in the background and it'll cover everything up. So then they get shot at by a van that pulls up, the black van, which we'll talk about.
The blackest.
Literally looks like it's spray paint black or something.
Yeah, it was pitch black, comes just barreling in, starts shooting everybody.
Shooting everybody up, and then our what do they call it? Femme fatale? No,
I would just call her a bad actress.
She's a terrible actress in this movie. She comes out with a shotgun and blows up a car.
With one shot. Doesn't even, like, nothing. Just one shot. Like, and doesn't even hit any... There's no, like, gas leaking from it. There's nothing. It literally just one shot. And she's, like, 100 feet away. It just explodes in a giant fireball.
Yep.
For no reason. But...
It looks like I thought it was like a grenade launcher. You ever see, like, those before?
Are you asking me, a man who's seen like 40,000 action, what a grenade launcher is?
Yeah, but like the ones with the single shot kind of, because I know grenade launchers can go on.
I'm really insulted right now.
I'm saying they can go on like assault rifles.
Yes.
But I'm saying a standalone fucking thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I thought
a
it was.
standalone thing. It's
Exactly.
like, you're thinking like an M16 that has a grenade launcher
Yes,
attachment.
yes,
It's like
yes.
if you ever seen Scarface, it's what he uses at the end.
Yeah.
As he has the rocket launcher on, or the grenade launcher on the gun.
A rocket launcher on it now.
Oh, now you're gonna try to insult me, huh? That's not gonna work because you're the one who messed up first.
Let's
I'm
get
trying to help
back
you.
to LA Wars, okay? Before we
Have our
judge
own
each other.
war here on my bedroom.
Exactly. So of course we get back to the warehouse. So we figure out that the girl who mowed down everybody in this drug deal and blew up a car with a shotgun.
In a super tight dress, by the way.
100% for some reason.
Because she's a chick.
Of course. Comes back to the warehouse, of course, the Goonie warehouse as well. And this is also one of those shots which we're going to talk about a lot. Filmed during the day, but there's some kind of filter over it to make it look like it was shot at night.
Yep.
And you were telling me that a lot of movies do this because of financial
like production.
reasons?
Yeah, because when you film at night, a lot of the time you got to have extra equipment because you got to have the right lighting, you got to have the right setting because you don't just literally anybody who's taking a picture at night would know you don't just walk outside and usually turn on your camera and it works. Sometimes you gotta get the flash on, and even then you're not actually seeing most of it. So it's like, imagine that when you're filming a scene with stuff going on, you gotta have lights.
Or they just forgot to film it and they have to rush back. And
Literally could just be like they were getting all the shots that they thought they needed. Like, oh, we're good, and then all of a sudden like, oh shit. Either they had an idea for a new scene or they never actually finished it. They're like, oh, we don't got time, so we're gonna totally just say screw it and fake it.
And that's pretty much what they do, because when they pull up and everything, so the car is parked there. Horrible choice to make the car black, by the way, the van, because the black van, do you know what a black van does?
It drives.
It reflects light, because when they pull up, you can literally see a reflection of the sunlight and the whole sun pushing into the actual scene. It just looks absolutely terrible.
Well, they really do invest in the fact they think that no one is giving a shit.
No. They
really,
think a lot of the time,
yeah.
listen, like one thing I love about like home video VHS back in the day, because I grew up on that shit all the time, going to Blockbuster and stuff. A lot of times where these kind of movies where they're just like any audience, especially a foreign audience, a German audience, they're not going to care about continuity.
No.
They just want the audience. They think the audience just wants to see shit get blown up.
Yep, just guns, sex, and violence.
We don't get a lot of that in this movie. There's probably like 15 minutes of action in this movie. There's
like
a lot of just, hanging out, talking, a lot of dinners. Yep, a lot of dinners.
So much exposition.
A lot of introspective walking around and stuff. But let's get back to it. So the girl finally gets to the warehouse, which, like I said, it kind of looks like a warehouse full of cardboard for some reason.
Yeah, so much. And then we get to the office. The office is like a substitute teacher classroom that has a chalkboard in the back.
It's got 2 chalkboards on each side of the wall. It's like a 4-room with like a grate in front of it. So like when they walk in through it, there's a grate. Which I know a lot of warehouses and places like that have that. It's usually where like the foreman or the manager kind of sits and watches over everything that's happening.
But is that where the the big time drug lord is just hanging out in the warehouse? And
no, especially when he leaves. You'll see in the scene, he literally leaves the garage door open and he leaves everything open for them to come back in. So he's not really thinking about security, but he does have that greasy iced tea looking guy next to him at all times.
I loved him. His ponytail is pulled back like so tight. I was waiting for his skin to rip off.
Yes, he was the guy in the trailer at the end of the trailer that you said, "Oh my God!" when he was fighting with those
size.
And
he was using the size. It was shirtless too, and I was just like, "Oh, that I have to admit that did sell me on the movie because as soon as that happened, I was like, I do have to see it for that because it just looks so stupid."
Well, can you explain what a sai is to an audience member that might not know?
Yeah, actually, there was a thing called Okinawa Kabuto. It's back in the old days. Okinawa is a place. It's a land in between Japan and mainland China. And what happened is that the farmers there would be getting invaded by every pretty much force imaginable, the Japanese, the Chinese, whatever. And so eventually they got to the point where they got sick of getting the shit beat out of them. But they were at a place where they couldn't really stand up. So what they did is they started using their farming tools as weapons. as a way to defend themselves without
okay.
without showing that they were trying to rise up.
So look it up right now, audience. How do you spell that so they can
It's
look it up?
it's SAI.
SAI. Okay.
SAI. Yeah,
You see
Sai.
them in all the classic martial art movies.
Yeah, you got
You know?
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Raphael
100%.
has sais.
Yep.
Leonardo has katana.
Yeah.
Japanese swords, and then Michelangelo has nunchucks, and then Donatello has a bow staff.
Are they like pointed at all, or are they rounded?
Which ones?
The size, right?
Yeah, it depends. Like training ones, you have them rounded because you don't
Yeah.
want some kid dropping a sai and stabbing right through his foot. But if you're for real, it would actually have a point.
Actually pointed.
Yeah, the point is being able to actually stab.
Well, in this
and
movie,
hit
when
people.
he uses it later in the movie,
Yeah.
he doesn't really look like he's stabbing it. He
No,
just
he's-
kind of uses it as like a punching thing. He's just kind of
Yeah,
like,
you can. The point with sais, you can use them for both. You can for stabbing, for blocking, because the point is you literally end up having a metal bar protecting your forearms, and then you also have that extra iron weight in your hand to be hitting people with. So not only could you be stabbing them, but it's also because at that point in time when they started to use them, you also have other weapons, so you can use the side to actually deflect and catch other weapons in them.
but they don't do that in this movie.
No, not in the slightest. I mean, honestly, you rarely ever see sais in movies that are modern. So the fact that he even chose this must have just been like, because I could tell you these guys were actually martial artists. So I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
when dude was like, yo, I got these sais. I don't want to use these bitches. And then just, I was like, oh, yeah, shit, put it in the movie.
It's just for show because this whole
Literally.
movie is all guns for a majority of it. It's guns and punching and stuff like that. And, having the inclusion of them is very random. So we cut from the warehouse where we do meet, which we didn't discuss. He'll get introduced later. Raul Guzman.
Yes. It's just the most stereotypical
100%.
Colombian drug lord name, Raul
Yep,
Guzman.
and he's from South America, Central South America, which they describe later in the movie. And essentially, he came to L.A. to take over L.A.'s drug business. He's not a part of the cartel. They do let us know that.
Right. You always want to know.
But Raul is just a man who came to America for
The
opportunity.
American dream.
Exactly.
Drugs.
100%.
Drugs and money.
So we move from Raul Guzman's warehouse, which is it's so goony. It reminds me of like a Batman thing. They're just in a warehouse. Just
Oh, I love it. No,
It's
that's what
great.
it's like. You need, if you're dealing with drugs in a movie, you gotta have a warehouse. It's like that's.
we don't know where Raul sleeps. We don't know anything.
Nothing.
Maybe in that back room
No,
with the
It
chalkboards.
could be in one of the cardboard boxes. You never know.
Perfect.
You never know.
So we cut from Raul Guzman to the opposing drug lord who owns L.A. and
Yeah.
owns the country, Carlo Giovanni.
Yes, the most stereotypical Italian
Yes.
mafioso.
So we're branching all over the world,
Everywhere.
from Italy to Colombia.
We're hitting all the stereotypes.
100%. So his daughter comes in, and him and his right hand man, Vinny
Vinny,
Scalato.
the Vinster.
Scalato.
I
Fuck it.
don't. It's Vinny Spaghetti.
Something. Yeah. Whatever.
Vinny Spaghetti.
He comes in, or the daughter comes in, and then they're having their dinner or whatever, and then we were talking about this maid that comes in out of nowhere to give the
Yes.
phone. Doesn't say anything.
AC thought she was like an extra that wanted on this. I'm like, no, you can tell it's supposed to be the help because he's rich. Why would he be getting his
Of
own
course.
stuff?
He's only got one maid in this whole movie, which is hilarious.
So it's like how cheap that is. They just got one extra to be a maid.
Yep, exactly. He gets a phone call basically saying,
He's been hit again.
he's been
and,
hit. This is the third time this month as he talks to Vinny about this and everything like that. Scoots his daughter out of the room, essentially, because his daughter can't know about what's going on. We find
that's
out.
a big no-no.
Exactly. Yet she just wonders, my dad's a vague businessman. He's, what if your mom was just like pulling in weight, like pulling in a bunch of money, and then you're like, you know what? Whatever. I don't even care about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just let her do
the
her
smell
thing.
of dead bodies and stuff. I don't worry about any of that. It's probably just like
Exactly.
trash. Don't worry about
Fuck
it.
Because she was, which we'll give some exposition later, because of this beautiful screenplay in this
because
movie.
they definitely won't explain everything to you.
No.
loud
Well, we
outbursts.
do learn though that she went to London for some reason. She doesn't have a mother. They don't really explain the mother or anything like that. I guess she just went to London, presumably
For 15 years, remember?
with her mother. Yeah, boarding school or something like that. Some stupid rich shit. Yeah, but yeah. So now she came back to L.A. to hang out with her dad for some reason. We don't know why. And then we abruptly cut, because this movie loves to abruptly cut throughout this movie, to these two henchmen walking downstairs
Amazing.
into this pub.
Japanese guy deserves an Academy Award nomination.
He was Japanese, right? Because he's wearing those
He's
big
gotta be.
sunglasses.
Yeah, that's like he was wearing the stereotypical Japanese henchman getup, which was ponytail. It's either ponytail, slicked hair, and then he's got the giant Japanese glasses along with all black. And
it's like a trench coat. Yeah.
Trench coat, all black, and then he was making the henchman face.
Yes.
He's going like just with his teeth gritting like that, and he's like,
almost like John Voight in Anaconda. Very similar.
Oh, they don't.
Please leave that episode where it is.
Oh, they don't.
Please leave it there. And then
Okay,
we also.
baby burr.
I'm gonna kick you off this podcast, dude.
Do it.
Oh my god. Okay. And then we also have this other dude who looks like what I think. Have you've seen Full House, right?
Sadly, yeah.
Joey Gladstone, Dave Coulier. He kind of looks like him.
So bad.
He kind of looks like him, and he's got sunglasses and then that cigarette in his mouth as well.
And these I mean, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. They literally just come walking down the staircase with guns.
Japanese dude's holding a shotgun.
Just
yep.
plain as day, right out.
Like, if you were going to rob a bank, you just walk into the bank holding the shotgun.
As slow as possible.
Yeah, and just smiling and grinning. And
like, he just slowly comes. I didn't even know what was going on because how slowly they were walking. So he finally gets down and he's just like, give me the money, all your wallet, blah, blah, blah. And then get and find out that it's actually a bar. It's a bar they're robbing. Because
at first it was like, why are you walking downstairs? Like, I guess this bar goes down?
The stairs go down, but it ends up being a bar, and they start robbing the place. Then comes our hero, Flash Gordon.
The protagonist, the cop, Flash Gordon, a.k.a. Jay Quinn. With one of the slowest fighting sequences in this whole movie. You were saying from a martial art perspective, this is so slow. And what we noticed when me and my buddies were watching it the first time, we realized, which Vince, we had him on the podcast for Killing American Style. Me and him noticed that when they would fight, it would always kind of make some very exaggerated noise. Obviously, you would make a noise if you got hit and stuff.
Yeah.
But when they were like punching, like, oh yeah, and like you said, it was probably because it's like, when you choreograph.
I can guarantee you when it comes to martial art choreography, I've been there, I've done some of it, and it depends on who you're working with. If you're working with someone who's experienced enough or who is smooth enough, you really don't need to be making a bunch of exaggerated movements. You got two factors. You got overactors, people that are trying to really ham it up and really get there, because if they're not going to get it in lines and screen time, they're going to get it in being just stupidly over the top with their performance. Next is it's for cadence. It's for like you need you got the visual cues of like, oh, a punch is coming out of my time. But sometimes if you're doing it fast, you're doing a lot of moves, you need actual maybe some other kind of cues. So the yelling sometimes, in my opinion, is that they're just trying to show, hey, here comes the punch, but then it turns into just
and this might be ADR, like this might be put in after the movie.
There's probably a combination. That's another thing too, is that there's a combination of both, because you can tell in certain fight scenes, if you watch, in this movie, but in some, you'll see their mouths are moving and they're making a lot of noise. Yeah, because there are plenty of. Trust me, God, I've had to listen to many. Yeah. I've had to see too many bad martial art demonstrations in person to know that it's a real thing, to be making too many awkward noises. So that's possible. But then on top of it, that'd be even worse, because I can see that you could definitely be doing that where even after it's been filmed, they added even more, because maybe they think that sounds tough.
I guess
because
so.
It's like
Yep. And our protagonist, Jay Quinn, ends up saving the day.
By killing them dead.
Basically pretty much.
Kills them dead.
Yeah.
It literally shoots them.
Yeah. Shoots the one dude in the face, Joey Gladstone from Full House, shoots him in the face, and then punches the other guy, and then the other guy reaches for the gun. Or no, he reaches for a shotgun, and Jay Quinn shoots him. Yeah. So then we cut to, of course, one of first interrogation kind of scenes where he's meeting the police chief. But we find out Jay Quinn used to be a cop, and he was a good cop.
Who was just having a very bad day.
He was, and we'll discuss why later. We'll get to that later, but for now, essentially, they're just sitting in the police chief's named Rourke.
Yeah.
Which is a very weird name.
The blackest of black police captains, because you've got to have a black police captain
they make
in any action movie.
That's what I'm saying. And they make them very stern and very, as we say, this movie is just littered with white people. This movie is literally essentially all white people, or some kind of like Colombian, obviously, with the one guy as well.
One dude, but everyone else.
But the black characters, they make them so, what's the word? I can't speak today. Antagonistic, perfect. Because they make like this police chief is such a douche in this movie.
Yeah.
And then the other black guy we meet who's playing pool is also an asshole.
Yeah, literally. It was because like everyone's got to play their part. Remember, the women got to make sure that they're just vulnerable. They got to be sexy and vulnerable, and then you got to have the stereotypical cop who doesn't play by the rules.
Of course.
And then you've got the captain. It's usually almost black.
Yeah,
Almost
in
always
these kind
black.
of films,
At least in the good ones, black police captain.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to just have the random stragglers of like are they this ethnicity? Are they not? You don't know because it doesn't really matter because they're henchmen. They're going to either die or they're going to barely be in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, doesn't really matter to anybody.
No, it doesn't.
So he gets his ass chewed out, and the most. My favorite about every scene with these two is literally, it's not even like, AC's like, the writing's pretty good. Well, the writing sucks.
The screenplay dialogue writing is bad. But the way that everything, I think, hear me out, dude.
I'm hearing you out. I just don't understand.
The way the plot goes in this movie makes it an actual movie to me. Even though these are generic plot points to me.
What?
Okay, we'll explain it later. But there is one scene near the end, right, where he gets arrested by the cops. Jake King gets arrested so he can talk to the cop about infiltrating Carlo Giovanni's house, right?
Yeah.
That is a perfect example because that gives a reason, for him and the cops and everyone to kind of discuss what's going on. Yeah. But at the same time, it gives an example for Vince to do eventually what he does. It's those things in screenplays and and just, any kind of, even in books and stuff too, where one instance of something can create two different things. One's a positive because it allows him to go and talk to the cops, and one's a negative because it allows Vince to do what he does.
I get it. But
that's what I mean.
But listening, I would, because we can talk about this later in the
We'll talk about it later, yeah. We don't want to confuse the listeners.
But one of my favorite things about the whole interaction with the police captain and Flesh Gordon is that literally almost every talk they have is just them screaming exposition at each other.
Oh, the dialogue is awful in this movie. And the delivery is so bad.
It's literally just them. I'm not even kidding. It's literally just them screaming about like things he did, who he was before the four, like all the stuff that we didn't need to hear, but they're literally just yelling at each other in exposition. Like if exposition was a language, they're fluent in it.
Yep. Well, Captain Rourke is played by a guy named David Gene Thomas. He was actually, I call him a professional extra because he was in G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra.
Nice.
He was in Fight Club, which is pretty cool. He was in the horrible, which I will never see, Easy Rider 2, The Ride Home. I don't know if you knew that they made a second Easy Rider.
Does that have
movie.
Peter Fonda in it?
Let me just click on here because I don't care enough about the movie to know. No, there is no Fonda in it, but and there's no I guess there's Jeff Fahey. There is no. Who's the other guy I'm thinking about? Dennis Hopper?
Dennis Hopper. Yes. It was just Peter Fonda, Dennis Hopper, and Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson plays. Yep, no Jack Nicholson in
Thank God. But I did not know there was a sequel, and now I'm very upset that you told me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's awful, and maybe we'll touch upon it one day, but. No,
not
right
sexually.
No, exactly. No, not sexual. But this guy was in a bunch of different things. He was in iCarly for some reason.
Rest in peace, your career.
It's when you're doing kids sitcoms. Yeah, that's
oh my God,
not the way to go. But I'm gonna be good guy here. I'm gonna be the good cop here. I think he is the best actor. I think he's one of the best actors in this movie.
You think so?
Who else would you say is a better
Nobody.
actor?
I'd say they all equally lose.
No, 100%. But if you had to pick, you had to pick one.
If I had to pick, it'd be Ice-T because I love that guy.
Yeah, that dude is dope.
Because he gets like exactly what he just needs to do, which is stand there, try to act tough, and then he's got a good look. For a henchman, he's got a good look because he's got the nice little, trim goatee, the slick back hair into a cool braid.
For those of you who are gonna watch or have watched this film. Look out for him. He is Raul Guzman's top henchman.
Yeah, top dude.
What do they call those dudes in action movies where they're like because they're not just a normal henchman. They're like the guy who runs it. He's like the right-hand man kind of.
Yeah, pretty much right-hand man. You just say right-hand man because most of the time they don't even have a title in the movies. It's just right-hand man is a way to say it.
Exactly. So he's getting his ass chewed out, spitting out exposition by the Captain Rourke. And then we cut to a scene of... very dirty. Wait, you know what? I actually think we forgot. So during the scene before this, where, like we said, Carlo Giovanni is talking to Vinny,
Yeah.
and, his daughter's there, and his daughter leaves, and he talks to Vinny. He goes, we've been hit and everything like that. I want you to take care of this, which I thought was probably one of the worst pieces of dialogue, because he gives literally he doesn't say where we're getting hit from, who we're getting hit from, just we're getting hit. There's a problem. And then he gets up and then he leaves or whatever.
Yeah, he says, I need you to solve it. And he's like, say no more, sir. And then he gets up and walks away. No explanation of where, what to do.
Nothing. But then we cut after the interrogation between Jake Quinn.
Jake Quinn. What's going on here?
Just 40 million, whatever. White guy Quinn and Captain Rourke. So it abruptly cuts again, and we go to the scene. There's a dude sitting outside of a hamburger place, and you notice his arms are very hairy, correct?
Oh, yeah. It literally looks like he's got sleeves. He's wearing sleeves. That's how hairy he is. He's like got Chuck Norris levels of hair.
Mm-hmm. And these two goons pop up. Slicked back, greasy hair.
Oh yeah,
that shit is shining when they're running. Like the sky and the light, like it's like, how they say you could see a rainbow if it's a perfect, if the sun's coming. Either it's like it has to be the perfect timing. Well, that's the same with the hair, the greasy hair in this movie. It's just illuminated by that sunlight. They chase him down in this tunnel, and who would you know? It's Vinny.
Vinny, the Vinster.
Vinny comes out of nowhere, and he basically says, who's been hitting Carlo Giovanni, all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And then they lead him to, I think it's like an Italian restaurant or something. I don't really know. Oh, I think it maybe is some kind of like Mexican restaurant or whatever. They walk in, the henchmen walk in, while the girl from the beginning of the movie, do you remember her name?
No.
Rosa. I think it's Rosa.
Rosa.
I'm going to say it's Rosa because she's one of the top billed.
Oh, you mean that chick?
Yes, the one from the beginning who used the shotgun to shoot the car. Yes.
No, it was Rosa.
So she's kind of like the left-hand woman of Raul.
I guess so. I mean, it keeps like going all over the place.
Maybe it's his girlfriend. We don't know. This movie doesn't give us anything. And so they take the hairy arm guy and say, show us where Raul Guzman's henchmen are. And they kill him inside this Mexican restaurant. Mm-hmm. The extras in the scene we were pointing out
literally do nothing. Like AC was, I was too focused on everything else looking really stupid that AC pointed out that literally no one is reacting. Nobody. Mm-hmm. They're all sitting there just like, oh, stuff is going on. That's crazy. Literally, people are getting shot to death right next to him in the same booth.
Don't even care.
And they're just like,
it's just another day in LA.
They're like, you gonna finish those fries?
I said it could have been intentional because LA is such a dangerous place, according to this movie, that maybe this shit happens every single day.
I would agree if they included a shot of them purposely not caring. Like if they showed a shot of them, be like,
like a close up of them just like looking back down at their food.
I would agree with that. Then I would say, that's a joke of like how bad. But no, the fact is that they probably didn't direct these extras at all. They just said, you're gonna be in the back while people are getting shot at. Just whatever. Who cares?
You sound like an actual filmmaker right there. Like thinking things out.
Well, I tried.
I like it. So then we cut from that scene to the woman Rosa running back to Raul Guzman in his cardboard warehouse and saying, boss, they just got shot, our henchmen, and it was by Carlo Giovanni or whatever.
Yeah.
Cut right from that frame to hairy arm dude sitting in a chair.
Yeah.
Raul Guzman's pissed off because, of course, the hairy arm guy ratted out. Yeah, you get snitched, you get hit. That's how it goes.
Snitches get stitches.
100%. And, he gets set on fire.
Oh, yes. And one of the most comically, there's no weight to the scene. I love it. I mean, literally, the man is about to be roasted alive with fire. Instead, it's just really comical. He's like, more gas. He's like, no, please, no. And then they light him on fire, and you can tell it's obviously, a stuntman in a flame retardant suit. And then on top of that, this man's supposed to be burning alive. And Guzman's just like, all these people who did this to me, they're going to pay. Like, he's talking to this dude who's on fire, who's obviously would be way too busy with being on fire to even care what he has to say, but he's still talking to him.
Yep.
And then it's just like, oh my God, this is so dumb.
And they kill him. And then the next scene is them in an alleyway.
They kill him. What else did they do with him?
Of course. Well, I mean, we didn't explain fully that, yeah, he gets burned and they just stand there. And then it cuts to Rosa in an alleyway with our homie Ice-T, the two top henchmen, chasing down. Now, I didn't know who this guy is, but I think this guy that they're attacking is one of the henchmen that chased down Harry Arms, dude. One of Carlo Giovanni's, but we can't tell.
Maybe because all of them just are interchangeable. And it was just a weird ass seeing them fighting in an alleyway.
You want to know how I noticed though?
Why?
The greasy hair. He has the same hair shine, the same illusion, the same illumination, the same illumination pattern on the hair as the dude who was running chasing Harry Arms. So I think pretty much they take him, they kick the shit out of him, which is surprising because I thought they would want to get some kind of information about him.
Yeah.
This scene is essentially written just to show how powerful Ice-T is with his braided long hair.
Yeah, his braided ponytail and his spinning side kicks and spinning back kicks and. Sorry, that's getting too. That's getting too technical for you.
Yeah, it's this movie, but then they run into like this like giant open apartment warehouse where people are like playing cards or something. They just run in and then they shoot a bunch of people, and then a bunch of people run out into the alleyway, and then we get those hilarious extras that get shot.
Oh, they were coming in to tell Giovanni's men that they're coming for him, and there's a new sheriff.
It's like Batman telling the friggin' hobo in the beginning of the
just like if the movie was actually good and threatening like Batman. And
it
was actually
he was like tell your friends about me or whatever. It's like the same thing essentially.
Right, it's just horrible shit.
Horrible movie versus good movie, obviously.
That's the only thing separating the two.
Of course.
But they come in and they're like, they shoot. They're playing cards. They shoot them, and they're like, "Oh, don't even try to follow us." And then they literally, I remember what was funny about that scene was that literally they just turn around, backs to him, and Ice-T walks out with like a real like gangster ghetto walk, and then they're waiting for him as they run out. Like you said, it's literally just a slow motion. Ridiculous. One henchman shot after another. They're just like shot and like and
they kind of just
down,
over dramatically fall
with one shot, and like the one guy tries running away and he's like
Yeah, so Rosa and Ice-T are pretty much killing off all of like Carlo Giovanni's men, even though she said I don't want to it didn't really say I don't want to kill you, but like if you follow us, I'll kill you.
Yeah, she literally was just
somebody said that to me. I'm not gonna follow. How about that? But then we cut to a very awkward sex scene with a woman that looks like she has a wig on. I think the dude is also one of the other henchmen, but we don't really know.
No, they don't even explain anything.
Who
like
these
it's
people
literally
are.
Just, I mean, don't get me wrong. She's very nice to look at, except for a weird ass wig. But it's just a real turn off. But they're just randomly having this really awkward, unsexy sex in this, I guess, hotel. We don't even know.
It looks kind of like a hotel.
They literally just show up. This dude, this henchman with like ass chaps, which I guess AC didn't see. He was wearing shredded jeans that had like a big hole in his ass.
Yeah.
He comes just barging in, and they just shoot him, and it's just like real slow, and they're like
slow mo.
And they're literally like moaning as they're getting shot. They're like, and they both fall down. That's it.
Yep.
Cuts
to back at the police station with the DA, which is weird. A lot of the time, I don't know if this is a trope in action movies. Are DAs usually women?
No, they're in district attorneys. Whoever is the district attorney is the person that pretty much enforces the law in whatever areas of the city.
I think because the DA in this bitches so much, they were like, we got to make it a woman because this kind of masculine kind of I think
it depends because there's plenty like you watch like Law and Order. I was doing there's female DAs, there's men DAs. I think it all depends on the movie. I think it all depends on what they're trying to portray in the movie or TV show.
Yeah, she is pissed off though about.
Something.
Jake, I think something. I think it's about I have the quote actually on my phone, and she essentially says, gangs and civil unrest in LA, but now there's a drug war. It's like, yeah.
Oh, that might have been what it was. It was, you know what that stupid ass scene might have been? was it might have been just them trying to show like all the gang war is just happening, like everybody's just offing each other.
Oh, but
Yeah,
but I guess they will only show Raul Guzman's. They
Right.
they should show like random
Right.
people killing each other on the
Right.
streets.
Because
like
that's
in
the
action.
next scene is them bitching about, oh, there's a war going
Yeah.
on and exposition.
Exactly. And I wanted to touch upon this because there is actually a subgenre of movies within the 90s, which I was telling you about, a lot of home video kind of movies where they essentially use LA or just any kind of major city in general. And what they'll do is they'll take a city and then they'll basically say that there's so much crime there. And then there's some dude, a lot of the time, he moves back to the city and has to clean up the city. There's a lot of those kind of like, let's clean up the city kind of things in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a weird subgenre that I never really understood. And this movie kind of touches upon it, but in a very small way, because our protagonist, Jake Quinn, only really cares about taking down Carlo Giovanni until Raul Guzman comes around. There's a movie called Ghetto Blaster, which we're going to have to watch one day. And
my God,
it's pretty
yikes.
much about, I think he was like an ex-cop who moves back to like his mom's house or something and realizes there's so much crime in the neighborhood and he's got to take justice into his own hands because the police are scared. Who knows?
What?
Who knows?
That just sounds awful.
But that's what this movie, I feel like, tries to touch upon with
Well,
in
you
the
were
whole
talking
cop
about,
perspective.
Well, you were talking about the LA riots because the LA riots happened in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And you had the LAPD, at pretty much at war, or everyone at war. I mean, even if you haven't seen the Predator movies, but
Mm-hmm.
actually the second Predator movie used that because the first movie took place in a jungle.
Yeah.
The second one took place in a
LA,
city. It was
right?
LA
Yeah.
during then. Pretty much the whole basis of why the alien Predator was there was because there was all these people killing each other and stuff. So it was literally because like riots
Yeah.
and stuff. There's definitely, I think that you have a point in some movies in that time period were drawing some of their inspiration from what was going on culturally in America at the time.
What is that called? I think there's a term for it. Some kind of justice. It's like
talking
civilian
about?
justice, I think. There's a term.
What are you referring to?
There's a term basically I've heard of like people like if you see something fucked up on the if you see a guy on the side of the road beating the shit out of somebody, you can stop and like kind of like arrest them yourself. I think there's this thing called
if you're
civilian
saying,
arrest
if
or
you're,
something.
Yeah, if you're making citizens arrest,
Citizens arrest. That's
okay,
what it
yeah,
is.
because if you're talking about like just straight up like taking the law in your own hands, that's vigilante.
Vigilante justice. Okay, that's it's like a combination of both. I feel like in these kind of
usually
movies.
vigilante means that you're going out and killing people.
Yeah.
Like say that like you're doing the I don't know if you're into comics, but you're doing the Punisher thing. You're doing the Death Wish thing with Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
That kind of like where you're literally just going out
Taking it in your own
and
hands.
killing criminals and taking the law into your own hands. That's vigilante justice.
Exactly, and I feel like there's a lot of that within those movies. But this movie is a little bit weird, where it's like an ex-cop is kind of taking shit into his own hands,
Yeah,
but
which
working
is really
with
weird
police.
because I don't like the whole like he's an ex-cop, but then they're not arresting him. Where he's an ex-cop, but he's literally murdering people. Mm-hmm. Like even the criminals, he's literally killing people, and it's just like I should have your badge right now, but I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do it.
I
You're okay.
don't think an ex-cop could get away with killing
No.
a shitload of people and having
Maybe like I mean there's a lot of corruption in different parts of
course.
government and country, but I could. There's no, and maybe get away with like one murder or something, but this dude is literally like mowing. Like that's the best part of this movie is that this dude is like literally almost killing everybody with every single interaction he has with them. Like think about every like fight or stuff, he ends up killing somebody.
Yep.
And he just kills all these people, and they're just like it's fine. It's always the same exposition of
Yeah.
your ass. I should have your ass for this. Should have your ass for this. But then he's like,
That's
I'm outta
movie
here, fuck
logic.
you.
That's movie logic, though. A lot of the time, movie logic, especially I noticed when I was a kid, a lot of the time I'm like, that shit these people are doing in movies, they would be put away for years for doing. But at the end, they're always celebrated as the hero and all that, But we'll get to that. So we cut from those scenes of random violence and everything like that to our, I guess, female protagonist, kind of like the love interest in this movie, Carla. Kind of weird. Your name's Carlo, and then you name your daughter Carla.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Change one
Listen,
letter.
he's Italian. What do you expect?
Exactly. He's got
Mamma
more
mia.
important things on his mind,
Right,
as
like
we
pizza.
see. And then we have our
Spaghetti.
protagonist. We got it. I got it.
Italian.
He
Hands.
walking down the street, Jake Quinn
with his
growling,
pants so tight,
so
way
up high. Yep.
so high waisted. Oh my
Yep,
god.
as well as a blue shirt, which I said, you're wearing a blue shirt, you're ready to go. I don't know
Absolutely.
why. I've
Black
always thought,
pants, blue shirt.
yep, I always think that that's like, signal of I'm ready to go. And so Carla is getting into a limo after a long day of shopping.
Yeah, a long day.
A long
It
day.
literally is just scenes of her shopping.
It's just
Yeah.
montages, and they're showing her ass and everything like that as well. Just
Which,
to
thank you, shout out to the director.
exactly. This kind of looks like I think it's Sunset Boulevard or Hollywood Boulevard, somewhere it's in Hollywood.
Yeah,
I
you
can
would know
definitely
because
tell.
I've never been out
Yeah,
there.
I used to live there a little bit. For the people listening, I used to live there for about like 5 or 6 months, and I've been to Hollywood, and this is exactly what Hollywood looks like. Especially we were talking the extras.
Yeah.
She gets into her car, and what tends to happen? Gets pulled up by Raoul's men.
Like 3 or 4, limousines or whatever you want to call those kind of like Cadillac cars just pull up and they instantly start
They're all
coming up.
black. It's always black
All of
cars.
them.
It's classic.
Always black cars.
They pull up and they try to take Carla, basically, using her as like hostage and
They
shit
shoot.
like
They
that.
shoot her driver and
Yep.
whoever's in the car with her.
Classic stuff. And a huge reason why I said this looks familiar is because you have people in the background, extras. You were noticing. Bunch of them just not even paying attention.
Yeah, not
to
even
what's
caring.
going on.
Like eventually you did point out one person looking over, but most of the time, if you look at big movies, if you really like, sometimes like it spoils the movie to me. But then you can't help
you
but
see
look.
people.
But if you really look, most people are looking like in the distance. You can see they're looking.
At
Because
what's
imagine
going
if you were, imagine if you were just going about your life and it's a big movie, like whatever.
It works in action scenes and stuff.
Yeah, because people would be looking over.
Yeah, but a lot of the time, say 2 characters are just walking down the street and you see
Yeah.
people in the corners like looking at them. It kind of looks odd.
It looks because they're thinking, oh, there's blah blah blah, there's
Yeah.
so and so
Oh,
walking
there's
down the
Brad
street.
Pitt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they'd be looking down the street, which doesn't make sense in a movie where they're nobodies.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I think it's such a shitty production that literally almost no one cared.
I don't think they blocked off this street or
Nope.
anything.
No, they didn't. Obviously, that was probably
No.
even funnier. Is probably they were just like, whatever. It's probably someone just making a crappy movie.
Yeah.
Because no one cared that they were like doing shooting off blanks and shooting, and at least they had squibs. I was impressed with this because I was expecting this to be the movie like Killing American Style, where there's like just no effects.
No, just holding a
people
gun
just-
and then putting
the
audio
noise.
sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was impressed with that at least.
Exactly. And this film, as I said, it's like an advanced B movie. It feels it's a B movie for sure, but it's not as bad as something as like
little
Killing
extra.
American Style.
But
yeah.
so our hero
just jumps into
Flash
the
Gordon,
scene.
literally just like
Because he's nowhere to be seen. He's literally nowhere to be seen.
I saw he passes by eating something.
No, he does. But I'm saying
Yeah.
when she gets into the car and they
he's
pull
nowhere
up,
even close.
he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. Lily's gone. He just comes out of nowhere and fights all. Actually, the best thing is the dude who goes to grab the chick is wearing the same exact outfit as he is. So I was making a joke that that's what he beat him up because he was wearing the same outfit. He comes in
And then he realizes,
sidekicks him.
Oh wait.
Literally flying sidekicks him, and then he goes and kills these guys. He kills like all of them, literally in the middle of the street to protect her.
And then the cops pull up, and he protects it. He does a good job.
Yeah.
He protects it.
But it's just, he shoots and kills all these dudes in the middle of the street. The cops pull
Yep.
up. He gets arrested.
He gets arrested, and of course he goes back to Rourke.
Where here comes the real deal exposition train.
The best. I wanted to, when I was messaging you about this on Facebook, I wanted to say like this scene. I was going to quote the dialogue, just for all the hints I was giving you.
Yeah.
Because this scene is the classic good cop, bad cop kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I'll let you give your side of it, but this
Okay.
is how I saw it, okay? And this is
Sure.
pretty much how it
Said
is.
the wrong way.
All right. Captain Rourke is basically saying to Jake Quinn, this is why that you got kicked off of the force. The inciting incident, the reason why he got kicked off of the force was because he killed a dude that was raping a 12-year-old. And for Rourke's defense, Captain Rourke says, it doesn't matter if the jury says that you were right in doing that. They said it was just, like justice, like it was justified or whatever. Basically saying you had no warrant to go in this guy's house and kill him. You had no reason to kill him or anything like that. And basically the good cop took the law in his own hands and did something. To me, that doesn't make sense, because to me that's a good cop, a dude who's stopping somebody from doing something evil. Maybe he shouldn't have killed him. I get that completely.
Yeah.
Maybe she should have knocked him out or whatever. But if you're walking down the street and you see some dude raping a 12-year-old girl and you try to stop him and it escalates and this dude's about to kill you and you kill him, we don't know what happened. All I'm saying, I'm kind of like ranting about this.
No,
but
this is what you do best.
this is all I'm saying is this dude was literally doing it for the good. He was trying to stop somebody from getting raped. And this Rourke is just fighting against it for no reason and saying he's an awful cop and that, like this is why he got kicked off. What a shitty reason to kick somebody off the force too, by the way, if they're stopping injustice, which is, like he says later in this like 3-minute rant that they're fighting with each other. But he says near the end of it, Captain Rourke says, this department has had a history of being nonviolent and all this. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? 2 years away from Rodney King and stuff like that? Like, you're really going to say it's badly written. But, go ahead. And what was your...
I mean, I don't know. You just pretty much wrapped it up all perfectly for me.
It's
that
like,
was exactly...
I get the idea of the good cop being the rebel.
Yes.
Like you were saying, like the good...
literally what this was, what they could have done is they could have both been standing there with a script in hand, reading the lines off, and saying that this is what we're trying to get across. I am a hardened cop. Yeah. I've dealt with some things. I've done some things. And he's like, yes, you have done some things. I'm going to tell you what things you've done so the audience knows what you've done. And he's like, yes, I did those things. I'm glad about it. I'm glad I did it. It was literally like I said, if exposition was a language, they're both fluent in it. And 100%. What I could guarantee, what I can tell you is one of the granddaddy of all of these kind of scenes or attitudes in cop movies or cop archetypes and stuff is Dirty Harry Callahan.
Yeah.
Because that movie was a cornerstone in the, they
cop
had,
movies.
Yeah, they had bits and pieces of that kind of character in different movies, but his character in Dirty Harry in 1971 pretty much revolutionized the good cop, the tough, no nonsense cop that literally just, flipped off his superiors and did whatever he needed to get the job done. Because there's literally a scene in Dirty Harry where the police captain tells him he doesn't want Dirty Harry to get in any more trouble.
Yep.
As this story, and then he talks about how this woman is actually she's trying to escape a rapist, and he shot the guy.
Yeah.
And
Dude, that's like the same thing.
No, that's the point. Is I can almost guarantee they were trying to go verbatim for that, and the reason why it comes off so weird is because unlike in Dirty Harry, what happens? He's like, I don't want any more. Callahan, I don't want you to have any more trouble on the south side like you did last year. And he's like, well, when I see a man trying to, with intent to commit rape, I shoot the bastard. That's my policy. And he's like, intent? How'd you get that? And he's like, oh, well, when a grown man is chasing a woman through an alleyway naked with a heart on, he's not out collecting for the Red Cross. And the mayor's like, he's got a point. And it's like, so it all fits and it's funny.
It does.
And it gets to the point of his attitude is that he's going to get the job done and not pussyfoot around when it comes to criminals and them, doing stuff. This comes off, so I can guarantee you, I don't know any of these people who wrote it, but I can guarantee you, when I get my opinion on it, is they're trying to have a Dirty Harry moment. And the reason why it comes so weird to you is because they shouldn't have been talking about raping some 12-year-old girl because
there's no context.
No context, nothing, but also almost everybody can universally say how much they hate pedophiles and people that do that kind of heinous stuff. Literally, dudes in jail will kill other people as they find out that they've done this to kids. So the fact that they use that as a backbone to this is what makes it so weird. Because then the captain's like, oh, that's not good enough. You shouldn't have killed the guy with his bare hands. Like, all of that just makes it weird. And it's just him being the badass. The quote, excuse me, because he wasn't actually badass. The quote.
Hey, he was in Flash Gordon. This man is badass.
That's true. Well, he had some ass. That's the difference. Not badass. He had some ass because he was in Flash Gordon.
Of course.
With the Cosmic Girls. But for me, that was literally just exposition. And like I said, I think that was just them trying to have a Dirty Harry moment. Totally just failed.
Well, I was telling you, first time I saw this, I ended up actually making some food, paused the movie, went to go eat some food. And I'm just eating food. And you know how when you're eating food, you're kind of absorbed in the meal and stuff. Out of the corner of my ear, I hear raping a 12-year-old girl. And I'm like, what the hell? So then I rewound the scene, watched it all again. And I was like, okay, oh my God, we got to do this. Like, that was the scene that made me want to do this episode. 100%. So after that whole, exposition bull crap stuff. The DA comes in and she's like, well, did you find anybody to go undercover? Because of, she's really pissed off because the DA always has to, like the Harvey Dent kind of, gotta really has to fight crime and whatever. And, basically she's getting the movie going. She's pushing the movie in a direction. And he goes,
she's the plot.
Yeah, she's basically
she's the plot in this non-existent script.
Pretty much. And she's just like, hey, like, have you found somebody? And then he's like, I think I know somebody, whatever. So, of course, we cut to, I said quat. I sound like Long Island
Are you having
Italian.
a stroke?
Something's going
on
over here. Bordner's.
Yes.
This pub is called Bordner's. It probably still exists in LA because
because they spelled it wrong. It should have been Borders, as
Borders.
in Bored.
Like bored. I'm
like
bored of this movie.
Listen, I literally have done bar security before, and I can tell you it's a very depressing job.
He looks really depressed
when
and
it's
bored.
not when bars aren't banging and it's not moving and grooving. It's depressing to just sit there. I mean, it's your job and you do it, and it's easy money. But the fact is, dude, he's just sitting outside of like a door, and he looks so depressed.
So depressed. So what ends up happening is, he goes inside because the bartender comes outside, or just I think it's just somebody that works there, comes outside and goes, hey, you got to do your job. And then he comes inside, and there's a kind of like Asian man, what would you say, like maybe Japanese Asian man sitting there with like long hair, getting very profane with the bartender, treating the bartender like shit or whatever. So our homie, Jay Quinn, a.k.a. Flesh Gordon, comes up and says, you can't do this. You got to get out of here, all this kind of stuff. And then he calls him the F word, which is surprising. I mean, it's the 90s.
The
so
F word? What are you over here, Mr. Rogers?
Yeah, the F word. I mean, I don't like to use it because some people are insulted by it, but it was just really funny to see it in this movie. And
What's
of
wrong
course,
with saying fudge? Yeah, so
we don't
anyways,
want to. I told you we don't want to.
So he throws out
Whatever.
These couple dudes literally just start fighting him. They're the only people in the bar. There's like nobody in the bar.
Yeah, there's nobody else. So it literally in this scene, it is the three thugs as well as the guy who brought him downstairs, which I assume works there, as well as the bartender. So this pub, nothing's going on at Borders. Why does Jake Quinn defend his job so much? He hates the job, but he also enjoys working there.
That's literally what you do as a bouncer. I mean, if your job is to so-called protect the bar, that's literally what you're doing.
You're like a guard dog in a sense.
No, that's exactly what the point of being a bouncer is, to make sure that right people get in, right people stay in, and the wrong people get thrown out.
Yeah,
that's literally what bouncing is at bars.
Yeah, we have a ex bouncer here.
Yes. Well,
current bouncer, but
technically
Corona.
current, but with with just so much Corona,
Yeah, it's literally a bodyguard in itself. It's taken out people.
People we didn't like. Well, I didn't like, but so but. See,
but anybody listening at home, if you have family members, we are sorry about the coronavirus.
Yeah,
if you're affected by it.
Yes, AC definitely.
AC does. Yes, I'm the good cop.
He definitely cares. He cares about a lot of things.
Let's speed up a little bit, though, in the sense of we got our homie Rourke coming to the Bordners and just basically offers, hey, you're going to go undercover and all this kind of stuff, but then kind of just chews him out as well, because he doesn't say he wants to go undercover. He just kind of...
Yeah, he just literally comes in and is just like, you're going to do this job for me, and he's like, no, fuck you, man. And they're just having this going back and forth. It's the same exposition.
And then he does his first introspective walk, which he kind of did earlier when he was following that girl.
Yeah, but now he's doing another one, but his pants are even higher this time.
Yep, as we said, a hand in pocket. Always has the hand in pockets and stuff like that.
You got to.
Walking at night kind of feel and all that kind of stuff. And he goes into a bar. I think he goes into Bordner's again. And he has a drink, and there's somebody down the end of table.
Well, quote, and the guy's like, yeah, there's a guy there at the end of the table for, and he's like, yeah. Oh, no, he orders his drink first, and then the guy tells him this, which, again, being in bars before, they would tell you instantly as soon as you went up to the bar.
There's a dude
there's
over
guy there for you. Yeah. It wouldn't just be like waiting to tell you. Next, literally, it pans over. I was thinking I was laughing myself. It's probably gonna be like a foot away, and sure enough, it is. It's literally just him, just like walking a couple feet, and there's a dude sitting there. It wasn't like all the way on the other side of the bar. It's just
And
the other guy was there.
again, there's like 2 other people in this. This bar sucks. This pub sucks. 1, because
Yeah,
it
it does.
attracts some scumbags. 2, because they don't get a lot of business, to be honest. And what's funny is when Jake Quinn goes up to the bartender, you know, the bartender goes, "Oh, the usual." So obviously
Yeah.
he's probably
He's
a borderline
been here.
alcoholic. Yeah, exactly. Well, he's a bodyguard, but he's also just a huge alcoholic. We don't know.
Wow, you got something against alcoholics?
100%. So we go from here, and he just makes the call to, I think, to Rourke.
No, don't forget. No, he meets the guy. The guy is part of Giordani's or Giordano's, whatever, Italian
Yeah,
boy.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
he talks to him, he agrees to. Well, basically,
They're like, hey, this is no option.
you've
The
got
boss,
to.
the boss wants to see you.
Yeah, he wants to take you to dinner.
Car's
or
coming for you, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just wants to take you to dinner.
Classic, like, mob forcing you to
Yeah,
do
just like,
something.
you're-
You have
you're
no
gonna do
will.
this. Yeah.
Exactly.
No choice. You're gonna do it.
So he gets picked up, and he goes, after he calls Rourke, of course, to let him know what's going on, and goes there probably just to cover his back, because, I mean, if a mob boss invited me out to dinner and stuff, I'd probably be a little nervous or whatever. But we find out that the mob boss, Carlo Giovanni, that woman that he saved earlier, who was in a couple scenes here and there, but it's kind of introduced to the character of Jay Quinn, we find out that Carla Giovanni was the woman, damsel in distress, that he saved earlier, and she is also, coincidentally, the boss's daughter.
Yeah.
So they meet each other, essentially, and I guess he just wanted to say thank you. It's kind of like a thank you dinner.
Yeah,
The
I
boss is
guess.
kind of saying that, because he also kind of, like I said before, he kind of also says, like, so what are you doing here, and all the, he just kind of
Yeah.
like being
Weird.
guess, very weird about the whole thing and whatever. And then the next day, he's having dinner or some kind of lunch outside with Vinny, which we said earlier was the right-hand man. And Vinny's kind of being nasty to Jake Quinn. Vinny thinks that Jake Quinn is going to take his spot and everything like that. So what ends up happening is Vinny's, bad-mouthing Jake Quinn and everything like that. Meanwhile, Jake Quinn is dressed in this gray muscle shirt with these pants that are going like all the way up to his belly button. So you know that he's ready to kick some ass.
Ready to
So
go.
he beats up some of Vinny's bodyguards, because it's so funny. Him and Vinny are fighting. So if like you and me were fighting,
Yeah.
and then we're like throwing shots at each other, and then like you're about to kick my ass, but then you send like 3 of your friends to just kick my ass instead. That's how much of
Yeah.
a pussy Vinny is. He just orders people around.
Right,
And
that's what he likes doing.
exactly. It's like a little like small dog just barking and just trying to act like that they're dominating and they're super like aggressive when they're just fucking
Yeah.
pussies at the end of the day. I didn't like Vinny at all. I think Vinny was like the worst character in this movie, but I'm taking this personally. over
I
here.
am. I'm like trying to comprehend like where exactly what Vinny did to you to get you to the spot. But
I think about these movies a lot.
I
And
know
I've
you
spent a
do.
lot of time with these characters watching this fucking movie
right,
3 times in a
so
row.
much time. It's like your brother. Vinny's your brother.
Exactly.
He's your brother-in-law.
The brother that I never wanted.
Yeah.
But then, of course, after fighting and everything like that, Carlo goes, the mob boss goes, oh, well, let's see how you guys can shoot. Cut to a shooting range for some reason that's, I guess, on the
In
same
his house,
property.
I guess. It's in
Yeah.
because Spaghetti there. Giordano Spaghetti he's trying to vent old the vent. God, I keep forgetting because they're all so interchangeable. He's trying to vent Quincy Jones. What the hell his name is? Jake Quinn.
Jake Quinn, Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones. Whatever the hell his name
Quincy Jake.
is. Jake Quinn there. He's trying to vent him to see if he's good enough to bodyguard for his daughter. And, first it's all hand-to-hand combat. That's no problem. Now he's like, oh, can you shoot? And he just has a shooting range in his house or something. Doesn't
For
even
some
explain
reason.
it.
I
And
don't
so then
know.
they both shoot, and he says the one, guy's kind of better or whatever, but then...
Oh, that difference. He goes, oh,
Yeah.
well, Jake Quinn, why did you only shoot at the head? Because Vinny only shot at the stomach. And he goes, cops have vests. That's
There you
why
go.
I shot for
And
the
he's like,
head.
You're hired.
Right away.
Right
He's
away.
hired.
That's it. You're hired.
So now Jake Quinn is essentially the bodyguard for Carlo Giovanni's daughter because of everything, I would assume, everything that's been going on recently with like Raul Guzman and everything like that. Like, like I said, the plot is written well in some parts. Essentially, he needs a bodyguard, I guess, for his daughter.
Yeah,
because of the hit that happened earlier and
I
stuff.
guess too, because they don't. I mean, like, I don't think even anyone cares about this chick, like, at all.
No, nobody really cares.
Like, there's no evidence. There's no evidence of anybody even giving a shit about this woman in this movie.
And for Carlo Giovanni being the biggest drug lord in the country, as well as in LA, you don't see many people that he hangs out with. He kind of just hangs out at home all the time. Maybe he's wanted that bad by people.
Yeah, he just literally never leaves his house.
Never.
He has like 4 henchmen.
Yep, and he doesn't hang out with anybody. He doesn't have any like rich people over.
There's no interactions of him doing any business, actually.
No, nothing at all.
Sorry, illegal business.
Exactly.
Nothing.
So what happens after this is that Jay Quinn goes to the guest house because he kind of gets forced to live there by Carlo. I mean, if a mob boss is going to hire you, you might as well take up residency in their guest house because that guest house is probably nicer than his apartment. If he's working at
he's also supposed to be the bodyguard, so he's supposed to be protecting her at all times.
Exactly.
So if he's living at his own house, it's not really... It goes against it.
Exactly. And his own house is probably not as nice as this guest house if you're a bouncer.
I doubt it.
Yeah. If you're a bouncer, you're not making any money.
Nah, those guys are shitheads. They're dumb.
And Jay Quinn, Jaquan goes to the guest house and talks to Vinny, and Vinny's like, because what's her name? Carla comes up and is like, we got to get you new clothes. And he goes, you can look at her, but you don't touch. And all this.
He's getting all real creepy.
Super protective,
roady.
Which is set up for later, which, like I said, decent plot. Sure. I'm only thinking of this in comparative to something like Killing American Style, which we touched upon, and Samurai Cop. Yeah, it's whatever.
Sure, you're right. No, writing's on the wall. It's great.
It's
Academy Award winning.
So then Carlo Giovanni gets really pissed off and basically sends Vinny out to. There's a bunch of montages of like them killing a bunch of people.
Yeah, to send a message about like how much he's not gonna stand for this treatment.
Exactly, kind of just like saying, hey, like don't fuck with me. And there's a shot of
hey yo, don't fuck with me.
Exactly, don't fuck with me, all right. And there's a scene literally of a car running into cardboard because, like you said, action movies love cardboard.
Every empty box, like almost you could. I think this should be like a drinking game. I don't even drink, and I feel like there should be a shot, a drinking game where every time you see a cardboard box in an action movie, you should take a shot. Pretty sure you'd probably be an alcoholic by the time you're done.
Cardboard in the warehouse as well.
So many, because it's like it's a perfect cushion. It's a perfect thing to just have a stack there. Someone gets kicked, flown.
Yep,
thrown.
the alleyway. That dude gets kicked and he lands on cardboard.
Boxes.
Yep,
literally in the boxes. Like that is a go-to in martial art movies, action movies. It's really stupid when you start looking at it like that. There's just random. I mean, sometimes they'll try to mask it with putting like a moving company truck or something to give it some kind of but even then you're just like why is there just an empty or an open truck with a bunch of cardboard boxes just sitting there? So it's like
it's just action movie stuff,
stereotypes.
And then we cut to all these montages. There's one montage of these 3 dudes in like a bathroom on like the side of a building or something, or just some broken down building. They're cutting up baby powder. It looks like you said it looks sugar, right?
It looks like powdered sugar. It's like some nasty it's like a nasty Taco Bell bathroom that they're hanging out in. And he's chopping up what's supposed to be probably cocaine, but it looks like literally powdered sugar. I would not be surprised if production was like, how much money we got? And they're like, $5. Like, we need a Coke. Go get a bag of powdered sugar. And like, good job.
Fuck it. Like I said, there's literally on the toilet that they're cutting it up on, there is, I think, a bag of powdered sugar, which I would assume if you're traveling with that's not a bad idea to put it in like a sugar bag. I've never traveled with cocaine, but I would say that
I have many times.
You use a sugar bag.
I usually just use my rectum.
I was like, at first, I thought rectum. I thought you meant like when you said rectum at first, I thought of like a rack.
No.
I was like, wait, why are you carrying around like a rack that you put
just
like
right up the butthole?
I was confused.
Just jam.
See, this is your humor. It just throws me off. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
That's the same thing that interrupted DEA agents as well. So.
Oh yeah, exactly. So then we cut also to another montage. A dude is walking outside of his house and gets shot.
Yeah, and this is where AC told me about a little slice of his American life heaven in his head about he's just yearns for the days to go back to more drive-by
I
shootings.
miss drive-by shootings in movies. I don't condone them in real life. I know you do, but I don't condone that. I just love the idea of a limo pulling up to a dude's house, and the dude, because of course limos always have the sky roof thing or whatever they're called, and just coming out and with a shotgun and just blowing somebody. I just love that shit. I love that shit
Hold
in
on.
movies.
Just doing what to somebody?
Just blowing them away with a shotgun, not blowing them.
You said that wasn't me. I sat back.
Keep your head out of the fucking gutter.
Well, maybe you
okay?
should speak better. You said blowing them. You didn't say blowing them away. You said blowing them.
I'm gonna get Vinny Scolati, whatever the hell his name is, on you.
Yeah, sick.
For the way you're
Joey
treating
Spaghetti. On
Joey
me.
Spaghetti. And then there's another montage where a dude gets cut, his throat gets cut in a barbershop. You saw this in the trailer.
Love it.
Because you were waiting for it,
I was
actually.
waiting for it.
You
You
were
can literally hear the ketchup packet. It's just like.
Yep. And the subtitles says man gurgling.
Because I guess that's what happens when you get just your throat slit is just.
It's just what happens. And then the last one of the montage, I have to say real quick, it's not important, but a dude with a shotgun and a dude with a pistol come up to these two dudes in a car, and the dude with a shotgun is standing in front of the car shooting them essentially through the window, the way the camera's pointed. There's something in film, I forgot what it's called, but it's like the direction that you film. Like, say if you aim a gun down at somebody or whatever, you have to give the perception of the person that you're aiming at a lot of the time to show continuity. He's shooting a shotgun in front of the car, and nothing happens to the windshield, nothing or anything. So that means the bullet, when he shot in front of the car, had to go around the windshield and into the car. And that's not how physics works. So,
did you really expect this movie to talk about physics?
No, not at all. I just expected, especially I gave this movie the benefit of the doubt and said it was.
You give every movie the benefit of the doubt.
I called it an advanced B movie. I expected some windshield breaking, but of course they can't afford it that much. So these two guys are dead as well, and we end the montage, and Vinny and Carlo are having dinner with Jake Quinn and of course Carla, and then Jake gets sick of this movie and decides to take a nap.
Literally, this is another one of my favorite scenes in this movie.
Yeah.
Where he's in like this just weird ass blue, like this blue lit room.
Yeah, a lot of dark blue in this movie.
Blue lit room. I guess this is his guest house, and he's just lying there, I guess naked or whatever. He's just with his shirt off, and all of a sudden, what's her name is in the corner, Carla.
So Carla walks in,
and it's literally. This is where his soft porn. There we go. Softcore porn persona comes into play, because it literally plays out like a bad intro to a porno. Because he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "I'm here to thank you for taking my life my way." And she's slowly taking off his clothes. He's like, "I don't think we should do this.
Yeah, he's
this
the good
isn't
cop.
the right thing."
You remember, he's the good cop.
He's literally the guy. He's like, "I don't think we should do this. Mr. Giovanni wouldn't like it." And she's like, "It doesn't matter what you want. I get what I want." And they literally have just awkward, weird, blue lit sex.
He's like, "Stop.
It just
really
letting
it happen.
Really wooden acting. Like I said, straight out of a porno. So he really showed his Flesh Gordon persona there. And it's just awkward. What follows is an awkward sex scene, completely unsexy, just like licking each other in blue lit.
Just, whatever.
Thanks.
But it cuts to, after the scene, it goes right to him sitting down on a lawn chair outside.
Oh, this is another one.
This is a great scene. He's Jake Quinn is sitting outside and just decides, I'll pick up the phone and call a cop because,
Call the cat. Like, literally, it doesn't even, like, he doesn't even, like, the camera doesn't show where he is. He's still at the mansion.
We know he's
sure.
in the backyard of the mansion.
But, like, it doesn't even show, like, where in respects to where everyone else is.
Yeah, is anybody around?
Nothing. He's literally just sitting on a lawn chair in the middle of this mansion yard and just pops on the phone like he's just calling his mother and talks to the police captain about this case.
Yep.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen that in any bad, even in bad cop movies. I don't think I've ever seen something so stupid.
Well, he's using a wireless phone, and I can't remember because we had wireless phones for a couple of years before, like, nobody. I mean, we still have one, but we don't really use it. But can you like pick up another wireless phone in the house and hear if that line's being used? Because I know old phones used to do that.
Yeah, well, with lines for sure.
I don't think electronic
house
ones though, like wireless.
No, yeah. I think
Really?
depends on the ones. Like if you went on to like newer ones that you had house phones that
Yeah.
had the receivers where you would put it into a
Yes,
platform
that's
to
what
charge.
we have. Yeah.
That you could used to be able
Well,
to
yeah,
listen
because it's
in
all
on
the same
conversations.
line. Yeah, that makes sense.
Used
Okay.
to, so if it's all the same
Horrible
line.
idea then. Horrible idea to call your captain of the police force using a mob boss's telephone.
Literally.
Not the smartest thing. And then who pops up? Carla, of course. And they go on this cute little date.
Oh my God, this montage is so so ridiculously stupid because there's a combination, couple things. He's supposed to be the bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
They're out in the open. There's supposed to be some hits on her or whatever. It doesn't even, they don't explain anything. They're literally just having like a 16-year-old like date.
Yep,
where they're
walking
going
down
to the water,
ocean by the beach.
all this stuff, like not even a care in the world about like his so-called job, her so-called protection.
Yep.
And then it ends on this incredibly forced exposition again, where she's like, "I love you.
Yes.
I've known you for like 5 minutes, and I love you."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, we can't have that. This
Yeah.
love's forbidden." And
Horrible
it's really
acting.
wouldn't. He's like, "This love is forbidden. This isn't right." And then it's like 2 seconds before he just goes right back into sticking his tongue down her throat. Which, let's be honest, if that was me, I'd be doing the same thing.
To Jay Quinn.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, did you
Perfect.
see the pecs on that man?
Well, and then
Yeah, man.
they, I guess they decide to go shopping or something, and they pull.
Oh,
into
that's what it
this-
is. She was like, "Oh, we should go shop." That was what started it. She was talking about shopping. Then that's when
Yeah.
he was like, "We shouldn't do this." And then they agree to head off to go shopping.
So they go in like this parking lot, which is like one of those like multiple floored parking lots or whatever. And they get out of their car, and a couple dudes start walking behind them. And Jake,
literally like a couple
Couple
feet
feet
away.
away,
He
yeah.
doesn't even do anything.
and then Jake eventually takes them out, and then a black van pulls up, and it's Ice-T. It's the braided henchman from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
This dude's always sweaty, and in this scene, which I talk about a lot, well, we talked about during the film, 90s movies, especially like low budget and stuff like that, they love to everybody have solid color shirts. It might have just been a sign of the time.
It's
but
definitely 90s.
yeah, he walks up with a yellow shirt, which is funny because our homie Jake Quinn also has a yellow shirt as well. And then they kind of just hotwire a car and then drive away. And then
Just
that's
like that.
it.
Literally just like that.
Yeah, and then they end up going to this restaurant, and then Jake Quinn, kind of exposes to Carla and says, "Your father is actually like, an undercover drug lord and all this kind of stuff." And
He's a what?
like,
You said he's an undercover drug
well,
lord.
undercover. I meant undercover in
He
this.
just meant that she just doesn't know that
Like
he's
that,
a drug lord.
she doesn't know it, so he's kind of like undercover to her. Like, I guess, whatever.
That's not how that works, buddy.
I was just, dude, my brain is shot after
Just-
watching that
he's-
movie. So
Well, it's pretty much every time we watch a movie, I think it's just
As
it
well,
kills so
yeah.
many of our brain cells.
exactly.
Your thinking is that he finally reveals to her that her father is not this respectable businessman that I guess she
thought he
knew
was,
so
yeah.
well after 15 years of being gone in Sweden or wherever the hell she was at.
He's secretly a murderous man, as
Yeah.
Jake Quinn says. He hires people to kill.
people, and she's like, "No, don't continue this, or I'm going to hate you."
Mm-hmm.
And that just continues with another, long awkward conversation.
And then they get
about-
interrupted by 2 cops. So these 2 cops are basically sent out by Rourke to bring him back to the station so they can kind of debrief
Debrief
and
him, yep.
exactly just
One
talk
dude's
about
missing
it.
half his head, and he's like, "Hey, you're coming with us, and you're gonna do this." And he keeps fighting him, and he's like, "Well, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice."
Exactly. And they're
And he's-
really,
of course, once again, our
he
boy
beats the shit
instantly
out of
starts, literally starts beating the shit up everybody he gets into altercation with. Doesn't even like try to solve anything diplomatically. He instantly just starts hitting everybody, hits them, they run out.
Yep.
They go.
So then Jay Quinn goes back and says what up to Vinny. And Vinny's like, we're behind on collections. There's a couple debts that I want. And, people owe us, whatever.
Do your share.
Cut to this like nudie bar with this girl with like these big knockers that
Big
you
knockers.
said you
They were
can't even
fantastic.
see the nipple.
I didn't see her nipples. They look completely blank. Like they
Yeah.
look like
Might have just
they
been
were
the
just
cut of
2
the movie.
sacks.
It's just maybe the film quality, but also, yeah, she probably just doesn't have
And then
it.
I felt bad for the woman because she looked like a hostage. She had this
Yeah.
really forced smile on. She was like,
very uncomfortable. So then our boy Jake Quinn walks in and he sees a dude, an Asian dude with a Japanese headband.
Rising sun. They don't have it the way they used to. I don't think I have my headband.
I was like, where are you looking?
Well, because I have one of those headbands.
Oh,
from
okay.
my karate training days. The Japanese symbol has changed, so it used to be the rising sun that had the almost like the
rays.
the rays coming out of the sun. Now it's just literally one red
just
circle.
a circle, yeah.
But his had the rising sun one, which was from years ago, like Imperial Japan.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like really hammering him. Hey, this guy's Japanese. You understand? He's Japanese, and the guy's black. And the guy's black. He's got a leather jacket on or whatever.
Yep.
And the next that follows is him awkwardly like fighting all of them.
Fights these dudes and then basically aims a gun at one of the dudes behind the counter because that dude owes.
Buddy, no one even knows.
And he goes, really, you bet on football, you lost. What the fuck is a mob boss doing with football bets? Like, is this dude really behind on everything?
I don't even, didn't make any sense.
There's no point of this scene.
No.
Well, actually, there is a point of this scene. But at the same time, there's no point of this scene. The point of this scene is essentially to give him an alibi because directly after this scene, Carla essentially gets raped by Vinny. And
it's one of the most just weird ass, this is another weird, oh God, this scene.
She's just sitting there,
like drying her hair from a shower or whatever, and he's just like,
I need to talk.
He's like, I need to talk to you. It's just Vinny, how you doing? Vinny, how you doing? And it's like, eventually she's like, go away, and eventually he opens the door, and he just like turns on rape mode like instantly
for no reason.
Like, there's not even like any talking.
Well, there is a reason. Like before, when Jake gets to his guest house the first time and talks to Vinny, Jake and Vinny kind of have this conversation where Vinny's like, "You don't touch her," kind of like an older brother kind of thing. Like, you don't even touch her. You could look at her, but don't touch her, and all this. And I think that kind of shows like his protective kind of side.
Yeah, it shows that there
but
was
that's
a
out
problem.
the window when you
it.
try to rape somebody.
Literally,
If he's like, imagine him smacking her up and just kind of just like beating her up and stuff for like being around Jake. I get that, but where does the rape come from?
Or even like, there's no even talk. Like, no, I agree with that's to try to establish this guy is either protective or controlling. It's gonna be a problem later in the movie, and sure enough, this literally goes from 0 to 60 as soon as he opens the door. It's not even like a talk. It's not even like a, hey, what have you been doing with this guy? Then he roughs her up. Then maybe there's a rape attempt. Literally 0 to 60, almost like a cheetah. He just jumps on her and starts trying to rape right away. And he's just like,
And you want to know why I also think this is in the movie is because earlier where we had that like 15-minute talk about how he was a good cop because he was looked at like a bad cop by the force because he stopped a dude from raping a 12-year-old girl. Maybe this is kind of like his redemption or something like that to show and prove that, like, whatever, because he doesn't end up killing Vinny because Jake Quinn comes out of nowhere. I guess he was at the nudie bar and then just came home because he had like spider sense.
Appeared. Yeah, magically appeared, stops him. But even better, let me tell you something. Maybe just because it's just a shitty movie, and that's probably why there's a problem right there.
We're here to talk about the ifs, though.
I know,
we're
but
not
you're
here to talk about
reality.
The reality of it. Yeah.
That's what being a good cop is all about. Well, so Jaquan, he pops out of nowhere, but even better than him is the father. He shows up out of nowhere, like as he's taking care of Vinny.
He's like waiting outside the door, listening to all this.
He must have been listening to his daughter get dealing with the rape attempt, because he literally just pops in and is like, "No, let me take care of this." Like, he just starts beating the shit out of Vinny and saying he wants to kill him.
Daddy already knows.
Daddy already knows. Like, what are you talking about?
What a perfect entrance, because I mean, in the sense of like perfect like coincidence. Oh, how ironic that he would just walk in and know at that time.
What was he do? There's no way you would. Maybe you could have heard something, but it was so quick that the only thing that made sense is if he was just standing there listening to the whole thing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, now's my cue. Now
exactly. Maybe at first he was like sitting there listening, and he was like, "Ooh, that actually sounds really nice. My daughter's getting laid." Oh wait, no, it's Vinny.
No, it's rape.
Yeah, it was just pointless. Vinny. It was a really dumb scene. And then we cut from there to, of course, I knew this was going to happen. Vinny was going to trade sides, and he was going to go to Raul Guzman, because we don't see Raul Guzman for like 30 or 40 minutes.
You pointed out, it's like, I thought he was supposed to be a big player in this movie, and
no,
he just literally for like first 2 minutes, and that's
he disappears because Rosa and Ice-T are the two kind of like leading people within that operation. Guzman just kind of sits in his office and doesn't do anything. A lot of the time in movies, the drug lord or whatever, he will be the one going out killing people, which he does. He kills the person on fire, obviously, but usually they show more of it. Like they show like how, like for an example, in Die Hard, I know he's not a drug lord.
I love Die Hard.
Who is the guy, the bad guy in that?
Hans, hold on.
I know Hans is the name, but who is the guy who plays him?
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman, you know he's evil by the shit that he does in the movie. And a lot of the time he's killing people and whatever. This movie, he like barely does shit. He just kind of sends in his, what'd you call it, a substitute teacher kind of
classroom.
Shitty classroom or whatever. So
but he trades sides, and it's stereotypical of like, hey, you work for us and you're gonna get your part, and he's like, but no one touches a lady. I want the lady.
And then we cut to the part where I said was well written, where he eventually does get taken by the cops, and I think it's well written in this sense.
I have my argument when you're ready.
I think it's well written in this sense. So the cops basically come to Carlo's house and say, you know, Jay Quinn, you're under arrest. I don't exactly know why they want to arrest him.
Oh no, it's because of because remember he assaulted the police officers.
Oh, okay, that makes. But the first time that they saw the police officers, they wanted to arrest him as well. Remember?
Yeah.
And he was resisting arrest, which you pointed out. They said obstructing justice.
Yeah, he said obstructing justice is like you know. That's not like you don't just jump to that. It's you're just resisting arrest.
Yeah,
that's literally the only thing he was doing was they said come with this and he said no, so he's resisting arrest. So it's like.
But I think that this is well written because while Vinny is kind of going to Guzman and saying, hey, like, you know, I can help you out and I can help you attack Carlo and, you know, we can take over the city and all this kind of shit. While he's doing that, Jay Quinn gets arrested by the cops in a fake way because obviously Rourke knows Jay Quinn, but they act like they don't know each other because Carlo doesn't really get that he's an undercover cop. I could tell from the beginning that this dude's an undercover cop. He looks like the most undercover cop ever.
It's been like an undercover drug lord too.
And and wouldn't you think that the drug lord himself would have the best drug lord in the whole country and in LA, the biggest drug lord, whatever? Wouldn't you think he'd be able to hire somebody to look up this dude's record? Because on public record, this dude is a cop. So that's where there's some plot holes or whatever.
I mean, if you really want to get into it, depends on the. I mean, like you start they literally will like make separate identities for cops.
Yeah, I know that.
And expunge all that crap. Whatever. Once again, somebody's the good cop here, Mr. AC, good cop, is over here overthinking it as usual. But that's fine because
creates
in this case
conversation.
Here's my argument. Okay, the writing wasn't bad. I'll give it to you because on that scene I was thinking that's kind of a cool way, or that's kind of an okay way to get him to go back to people talk to the police. But I was thinking, you know what? I actually thought that was more of a happy accident that we were talking about there because I think that just happened to seem clever because what they really wanted is they just wanted to get rid of Jay Quinn or what the hell his name is.
Yeah, so Carlo is not protected.
Yeah,
correct?
Exactly. Yeah. That's literally. I don't think it was to make it like clever for.
You think it's a happy accident? I think it's planned. We'll never know.
Definitely happy.
Probably
accident.
More happy accident.
I think they were just like, we just need to get him out of the scene so he can't
get him out
her.
of the house. Yeah,
that was it. I don't think it had anything to do with like, hey, that's kind of slick. And then the second thing is that what I thought was funny is that. He literally just leaves Jaquan, like the Giordano's Pizza, whatever the hell his name is.
Yeah, Giovanni.
He's supposed to be, like we said, best drug dealer in the country, whatever. Lawyers. That is a stereotypical thing in any cop movie, and I mean real life too. But they have the best lawyers.
Yeah.
There's no lawyer. There's nothing. Not even like hey, I'm gonna call my lawyer. He just says, don't worry about it. He said, just go with them.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
There's none to talk. Like,
because they got mob ties. Police are usually involved.
No, he
with
does.
The mob.
But I meant like there was no like he made it visible no action to get rid of him or to get him out of jail.
Yeah.
In the movie, like I just.
You're talking about Carlo. Didn't give a shit about. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm throwing out different names.
Well,
I'm talking about Giordano, whatever the heck his name is, or Giovanni.
But that drug lord or whatever that probably could have connections. You got to realize this. I think this is all in the same night. So when
it's all changing. So
we don't know, but Jay Quinn essentially gets arrested by the cops, and then goes to the police station, and I think that same night, because Vinny plans to have Carlo killed. So I think that's the same night, because it's all happening at night.
I think it was the same. Well, it's because the nights keep changing with the fake daytime filters. So
Yeah, it's
I'm
bad
thinking,
film.
okay, if it's the same night, that
But
makes more sense.
let's move on. So after this part, Vinny basically calls a hit upon Carlo. So he is friends, of course, because Vinny, which I don't understand why the henchmen that work for Carlo would take Vinny's
Did make it
thing.
I don't know.
Wouldn't you be loyal to? You would be loyal to your guy who gives you all your money, your actual boss.
I think that the only time.
What the fuck is Vinny gonna do for these guys? You know.
Well, that's what in the movie doesn't make any sense. But then again, I mean, it's usually about the promise of more power, more money, and that's usually why people turn against each other. As you know, so it's like the loyalty goes out the window. So that'd be the only reason why. But even this movie, Vinny shows no sign of like having the money or the power or anything like that guy has. He's just like, it's automatically just like, it's just, he says it's placed on him almost like.
Yeah, because that was kind of broken, because it's like at the end of the day, Vinny won't offer you anything. He's just kind of like a little shithead. And I don't know. I just think that it's completely bad writing. Anyways, but if this movie was written good, we wouldn't be here right now, would we?
But it was written good. That's what you said.
Yeah, in certain contexts.
It's crazy.
So then Vinny ends up planning the hit and gets inside of Carlo's mansion.
Rather easily, literally just walk right through the front door.
Essentially, yeah. And drags them downstairs, drags Carlo down the stairs, which you said looked like a grandma.
I thought there was some like random grandma character just inserted in the movie or something. I'm like, who the hell is this? Oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, he's got like those silk pajamas on just to make him look rich.
Really, dragging him down there was all super overacted. Just where he's swearing nonstop.
Yep. And Rosa, the female henchman from earlier, is dragging down Carla down the stairs as well.
Yep.
And this is one of the most hilarious scenes I have ever seen in the movie, and one of the funniest lynching scenes in a movie.
Amazing.
Lynching shouldn't be funny, but in this context, holy
ridiculous.
Fuck, it's hilarious.
They got this noose.
They have a noose set up in his backyard
already. Like there's
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they had nothing.
Not just a gunshot to the head.
Nope.
You're gonna freaking kill it. So they end up literally lynching this guy, which you even said it's one of the goofiest lynchings ever.
It's ridiculous because you have one. Why is it even there? They didn't show like, oh, they set this up.
But like the camera styles,
and then the camera was it to make it look like he was, that they never really showed his face. They just showed legs, which would be super easy. All someone had to do was literally pick him up and he could just shake his legs. They never actually showed
hold
him.
A bar.
Yeah,
like,
hold
a bar and shake
literally not any of that. They didn't even show the full body. All the while, his daughter's screaming at his feet. It sounds so ridiculously acted, and eventually he dies.
Yep.
Croaks. That's it. It's over. And then what's his name?
Vinny.
Guzman. No, Guzman's all happy about it. Now he's
Guzman's
in charge.
Excited.
But he tells Vinny that now the girl belongs to him because they didn't pay his debt. Vinny don't like that because no
pissed.
Girl, no rape. So he can't rape anybody that's not there. So he goes and shows that the henchman, like you were talking about, double cross Guzman there.
Yeah.
And now Vinny has his henchmen that were with what's his name, Carlo. You keep saying his name?
Carlo.
Is? Yeah.
Yeah. Giovanni.
The henchmen of Carlo work with Vinny to kill Guzman, and now he's so-called in charge, and he gives Ice-T a way out if he wants to be a part of it. And he's like, Can Rosa come? And he's like, shit, yeah, man. Come on.
Dude, you were paying attention more than this. Because all I remember is Vinny fucking killing...
Is that why you're staring at me?
Yeah, I'm like literally like confused what you're talking about. Because all I remember is
my God.
Vinny killed Guzman. And he killed all of his bodyguards as well. So it's just Vinny left with Ice-T and Rosa.
Yeah,
that's all I remember.
Yeah, no, it was first they kill Giordano's Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
They kill him, Whitey. They kill the white hair there. He gets lynched in the over-the-top fashion. Then Guzman, celebrates for a little bit, but then, he threatens that he wants the girl now to pay the debt. And like I said, no rape, no fun. So that means that, what's his name, ends up killing Guzman with the help of Giordano's, Giordano Pizza's old henchman there.
The Italian guy.
The Italian
That's all you
guy.
got to say. You don't even have to say Giordano.
It is, Mamma Mia, meatball.
Yeah.
So then, then it comes over to Ice-T, and Ice-T's, standing there with the hands on.
Yeah,
in
I
front
do
of his
remember
hips,
that scene. Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, you can either join us or die. And he's like, can Rosa come? And he's like, shit, yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they all join forces.
And that's what happens. And then we cut to Jake Quinn driving in his car with some horrible
It's amazing.
voiceovers.
Yeah, he's supposed to meet everybody at the Giordano's, the Giovanni's Pizza there.
He's supposed to meet his boss, his former boss.
Yeah, he's supposed to meet him there, and the film is trying to make you think that he's calling up the police captain, saying ahead of time that something's up, gates off or whatever.
Yeah.
As the car pulls up, you can tell he's not on the phone in the shot.
He's not talking.
He's not talking to anybody.
I've
So
seen
they
that in a
literally
lot of
put that-
movies,
yeah,
though.
They put that in. Yeah, it's because it all depends on the scene and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on either it was something that they wanted to include, or the line that they used was they weren't happy with it. So it's usually a fix. It's either some kind of fix. Either it's a lazy fix or it's when they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've noticed there's times where, like most of the time what it is that they film something and realize that something needs to be put in.
Yeah.
And if they send it in the right place, you don't see their mouth. You just assume that they said that.
They just do it. Yeah.
And then there's also ones where maybe they said a word or sentence they weren't happy with. Like I remember there was a episode of Miami Vice. Pretty sure they used the G word to describe Asians in the.
Oh no.
It was not the cops, one of the bad people.
Yeah.
But you could tell their mouth was dubbed over. So they changed it. So they probably thought, well, we can't do this. We're gonna change it to. So that happens a lot, either for lazy reasons or they need to do it last minute.
Yep.
As a quick fix. So he's talking to the captain about how this stuff is going on, but there's no phone. And his mouth is not moving at all.
Just gets out of the car and gets there,
with a gun.
Looks around, can't find anybody, so he calls Captain Rourke. He ends up going to see Captain Rourke. He's got like those gun holsters on and everything, which means he's ready to go.
Literally, his load up scene was my favorite parts of the movie because he comes out in this pinkish light with his shirt off, greased up. Slowly just starts pulling out all these weapons from just nowhere. He's got grenades.
Well, that actually happens a little bit later.
Oh, you're talking about that.
You're thinking about that's a little bit later. This scene, he just walks into the office right after he can't find anybody in the house. And
you said gun belts.
Yeah, he's got like the holster. Like, how cops wear those, like...
You should have just meant holster. When you say gun belt, the gun belt is the thing that
the
comes
actual
around.
belt. Yeah.
So gun holster.
My bad. Yeah, and then he does that, and then he goes and basically says to Captain Rourke, whatever, I'm going to take it in my own hands. And then he does another introspective walk throughout the city as Vinny is yelling at 5 dudes in a warehouse.
Yeah, literally just he's talking about owning the city.
And the way that he's talking, so they shoot a scene where it's like a medium shot of him yelling at, the people, like we are the people that he's yelling at. And we think there's like probably like, 30 guys in there, a bunch of henchmen. There's only 5 dudes, which literally is really awkward.
Like it's just, it pans out. It's like really disappointing, really anticlimactic.
They didn't have the money for a lot of extras in this movie.
Not in the slightest.
There's not a lot of extras.
And they were all agreeing, like, yeah, that sounds great. And then the dude just randomly asks a question. He just shoots him dead.
Yeah, because the one dude, while Vinny's yelling at them and saying he's going to take over everything, and then he's like, the one dude's like, who was nodding the whole time to Vinny?
He's nodding the whole
basically
time.
agreeing with everything Vinny has to say. He's like, who made you the boss or whatever?
Shoots him dead.
Shoots him dead. And then Jake Quinn's, of course, getting another drink. He just can't leave this fucking bar. 2 dudes walk in and start shooting him and kill the bartender.
Kill him straight dead.
Kill the bartender. Jake Quinn kills one of the guys, and the other dude, who I said looks like Tupac,
yeah, he pulls out a knife, and they have this really ridiculous knife fight where he slices Jaquan with the knife across the bicep. You have a lot of vein. All you have to do is hold out your forearm and make a fist, and you'll see how many veins run through your bicep. Or you can at least look at mine and see how many of these run through.
Yeah, because I don't have any on mine.
He's literally, well, you can see that, right?
Yeah.
He literally sliced across his bicep.
Yep.
Which we instantly just blood going everywhere.
He's too tough. His muscle would protect him.
He was like, yeah. And there was a little cut, and then they just have this really weird back and forth. They keep slicing each other. Finally kills him. Mm-hmm. Kills Tupac dead. Actually. Yep. Murder mystery solved finally. We know how Tupac was murdered.
They cut. So from here though, they cut back to Carlo's house. So after he leave, Vinny goes, I know he's going to come back or whatever.
Yeah.
So then he comes back. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of shots in this movie where it's definitely in daytime, but they're doing a filter. They do that a lot here just to kind of speed it up because this whole scene is kind of stupid. Goes back in the house looking for Carla and all this shit. Because fucking Jay Quinn is just killing all of the bodyguards that are waiting outside the house. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Vinny's screaming at him from inside and all this shit. Jay Quinn's literally in the same room. Vinny's just kind of taunting him. And then Vinny leaves, and then Jay Quinn's about to run after him, which is like I told you earlier, as the point I made earlier. It reminds me of like when you're younger and your mom's like, do you want any McDonald's? I'm going to go get food for the family. And you're like, no, I don't want any or whatever. And then like 2 minutes later, it actually does sound good. So you run downstairs, you want to stop her before she leaves. And she literally drives away like right then and there. It's the same thing. Jay Quinn runs outside real quick almost after the car. And then he just stops and goes, damn. And then we cut to daytime. He's driving his Jeep down a fucking back alley for some reason.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Looking for this homeless guy, which
the hobo of knowledge.
Yes, we called him the exposition hobo. No clue if this dude's supposed to be undercover. Nothing's ever explained.
He's just dirty and looks like he's been in a fight.
Yep, he just gives exposition essentially to Jay Quinn and goes, Raul Guzman and, Vinny's whole operation is in this warehouse down here or whatever, after basically saying, hey, I want this money or whatever. And
$75.
$75 or whatever. And then we cut to the scene that you're talking about, where he starts to strap up. The classic last scene. He emerges from the darkness. He literally has no shirt on.
No shirt on, greased up. Into a pink light.
Yep.
And he puts on the tightest tank top he could find.
Yep.
And then
straps up. He's got like 6 pistols for some reason.
No reason. Grenades.
Pump shotgun, 2 grenades. He is ready to fucking go. So then we cut to him breaking into the warehouse, which...
Another daytime shot
Again, daytime shots with the night filters. Fucking look terrible because it cuts from that to when he's about to climb up on the roof because you have to
actual dark.
Exactly, you have to get into a warehouse, which we've seen throughout this movie is they leave the fucking garage door open the whole time. But to be sneaky, you got to go to the top of the roof, and it's nighttime, of course.
Real nighttime,
of course. And then he jumps in, he throws a grenade, which he throws it in the direction of where Vinny and Carla are. But of course, this movie has no continuity, so it goes towards one of the other thug dudes who we've never seen throughout the whole movie. They're just disposable guys that are in the scene, extras. Throws it, and then it blows them up. And then you said that the grenade explosion, because he throws 2 grenades, the second grenade explosion is the same first one.
Same shot, different frame.
Just a different,
different camera angle.
Yeah, same. So different shot, but it's a different camera angle, but it's literally the same as earlier.
Well, my favorite thing, real quick, about that, I love about 80s, 90s movies is the springboard. I call it the diving board. When
where they just lift off.
When they literally do like a flip in midair, they come like just flying off of an explosion. I love that. It's so stupid.
It's awesome. And then from there, he ends up fighting Ice-T. After killing Rosa. My bad.
And one of the most ridiculous, she shoots him, I guess, in the arm. It doesn't even make it clear. She gets him, and she does AC was doing it, the over-exaggerated kickback where you're going, psh, and you bring your hands
when you
up,
shoot a gun and then somehow your hand aims to the sky for some reason.
Go, and it's almost like pray your hands up to the ceiling.
Yeah.
Now, in this shoddy filming of the scene, she is still in mid prayer up in the air, but it looks like she's literally putting her hands out of the way, super slow, and he pulls out a knife and throws it at her face.
Throwing knives at
and kills her.
Yeah, at her face.
The point is, if you see it, it looks like she has more than 3 years to get her gun back into position to shoot him again.
She's just gotta hold it up there
literally. Instead, she just gets stabbed in the face, so she dies.
Yep.
Then Ice-T gets really pissed about that and then challenges him to a one-on-one shirtless
fight. The final
fight.
showdown, essentially, it's Ice-T, which to me, he's kind of like the villain in the movie. He's just kind of like the dude who's you don't want to
threat.
With him. Yeah. And then he basically they fight.
Pulls out the size.
He's so sweaty, dude. He's so
he pulls out the size. They have this half-ass grab ass in the shower type of fight,
and then just snaps his neck
for he beats him, and he's beaten. There's really no. I mean, I'm all for kills in action movies and stuff, but this one was so stupid because he beat the guy. All he had to do was literally just You
Yeah,
coulda
he was
killed-
already down.
He was already
yeah.
down. Instead, he just picks him up and snaps his neck. I'm like, what the? I'm like, what?
Yeah. And then we get
Why?
the quote bad guy, Vinny, holding Carla hostage for I guess
Couple minutes to negotiate. He's like, oh, I'm gonna kill her. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Then he just shoots her in the side, right in the rib cage.
Yep, and then just
she drops,
Yep.
hops in his car, drives up.
away.
What's his name? Vinny Boom. No, Jake Lloyd.
Jake Quinn
Jake Kwan. He runs other
runs
direction.
after him.
Doesn't even check on the girl.
Yeah, and he's running. So if you look at like how it's shot, he's running the complete opposite way from where the car is driving, but somehow catches up with it and gets in front of it.
In front of it. It starts shooting, and there's nothing in the way. And all of a sudden, it cuts to this car that Vinny's escaping in.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Crashing into another car that's in the middle of the road.
Yeah,
and
it
it
explodes
blows.
while he shoots it. And it's just the most craziest, outlandish explosion I have ever seen ever. It just doesn't make any sense.
No sense. Then he comes back to his lady love and
saves her.
she's just, bleeding internally or out, whatever. And she's just like, oh, why are you always saving me? And he's like, oh, this is my job. And takes her off, whisks her away.
Yep. And then he goes, and then we cut from here to the second final scene. Yep. The police department, and, he gets his badge back and everything.
He's like, he's going to keep your word to the police captain because he promised him his badge earlier. And captain's like, yep, here it is. But don't start any shit with me. If you do one thing, I'm going to take that back. And he's like, you know what? I don't care. You take it. You have it. It's like, what was the point of this? It's like, I don't need this. I don't need this.
It was pretty much because then he goes, because I'm a bodyguard.
And it's like, that's so stupid.
I guess love conquers all. And then the last scene in the movie, after Carla got shot in, I think, the back or the chest or whatever.
It was like in the rib cage, like back of the rib cage.
I guess.
Totally fine.
Because he walks out of the office and they're driving down the highway in the same spot where they were at the beach earlier.
Yep, same spot. And like AC mentions, like I guess her dad dying.
Just didn't affect her
left death is
anything.
fine. I guess
because the way she's talking is so like upbeat and happy and positive and everything.
We don't care about any of that. So they literally ride off into the sunset,
and that's the end of the movie right there. So,
damn.
Scrooge, I gotta know, my man. Let's get to the bad to the bone. The bad ability, rating scale, whatever. At this point, I'm out of it. But
wow, would you give me a? I'll tell you how about I'll give you a little bit of how I feel about the movie.
That's what I wanted first. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, cool. It's all right. If I need to, I'm gonna bring out the defibrillator and jumpstart your heart again. Pass out on me.
Yeah, resurrect me.
So I was pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I was waiting for you to come out for blood for Anaconda because you really hated that so much. And it doesn't matter if you did because I still like it. But I was expecting something really just like god awful. And actually, I enjoyed it for being as stupid as it was because there's just something special about 90s movies that even a little bit like, I want to say that's like 80s on crack because 80s was crack on its own, but it's almost like a playable character in a video game that has a different skin or a different costume. That's like what the 90s are.
Yeah.
It's like the 80s are like a different shade or different costume.
Different shade of a color. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like in 90s movies, there's like a lot of that same prevalent stuff that was in 80s movies, but now it's just in a different, shade. The clothes are different.
Yeah.
But this, the guns and all that stuff is different. But like, I can get down with making fun of a lot of it, and
is it watchable?
For me, yes. I mean, like it was definitely it wasn't straight bad. It wasn't, of the four when we're talking about the getting down to the actual rating, I would honestly probably give it a 3. I give it like around a 2.5 to 3 because it was enjoyable and watchable in the sense that I enjoyed watching with you and something different.
Yeah.
It's funny to make fun of. Would I just go and watch it again? Probably not.
Nah.
Unless I had someone to watch with or show it to. I probably wouldn't watch it again and just watch it by myself. So, and then, I mean, it wasn't like I thought it was meh. I think it was a good roasting session. It was a good roasting session.
A great roasting session.
So I would say in this case it'd be about 2.5 or 3.
I would say the same, honestly. When I first watched this movie, I thought it was so batshit insane. Seeing it for the first time, huge part of what makes these action movies of I would just say the 90s in general, even the 80s, the music was so fucking awesome from that first scene with the limo and everything like
ridiculous.
I just think it's so ridiculous and so out there, and all this kind of shit. I think that the music was the thing that kind of brought me to watch this movie. When we watched the trailer, I noticed the music was so crazy.
Yeah.
Plus, I love generic action movie things like explosions and fighting and, the one part with the size and stuff like that.
So what you're saying is you're easy to please.
Oh, 100%. You give me something like this. As I was watching it, though, there were parts where I'm like, this is a little slow. This is a little boring. Like I wanted a movie when I saw this trailer. I thought it was just going to be action.
Yeah, nonstop.
No, but
kind of like missing in action.
Oh God, I forgot we did that movie.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a very enjoyable movie to me. It's watchable. I think it hits all the cliches and all of the tropes that the 90s and the 80s and even the 70s with Dirty Harry and stuff like that, they definitely touched upon so many like different tropes and different movies. And I think that all around it's a fun, as I said, advanced B movie. Yeah. Where it's still a B movie, but it's a little bit better than those, like, as we've said before, Killing American Style or other kind of movies that we stumbled upon and stuff. I think that this is an enjoyable movie, even though it has a low budget. It's fun. It's harmless. Something you should definitely watch with your friends. Do not recommend this watching alone.
Yeah, no, that would definitely. This would be fun viewing for everybody. But you also gotta have the people that are into watching bad movies.
You have to, because if you go into this and you expect a really, really good movie, there's actually a good percentage of people that I talk to who aren't like movie fanboys. They just watch movies. They always look for like the best of the best movies and stuff, and the best of the best. No.
You gotta have the group, and that's one thing I think in general. When we're talking about all these movies, which I think we talked about before, is that the group you gotta have is a group that enjoys making fun of bad movies.
Of course,
because most people usually when they see a bad movie, they're just like, "Well, I'm gonna turn this off." Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of movies that will turn off too. But the point is that we will sit and watch them and make fun of them if we have either the right movie or the right group.
Of course.
So it's like you got to have that right group, because then that's like almost pretty much you could, in my opinion, you could watch almost any movie, and I have watched movies that I would absolutely turn off a second into it, but I had the right company, so we watched the entire thing.
Well, I was saying, who was I? Somebody I was talking to. I was saying that in film school they should show you these kind of movies so in order what makes a bad.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, it'd be just like a deterrent from crime.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's like the reason to me is if you can, like you and me, obviously we are fans of actual great cinema. But what's fun for like treats of watching this is we know these movies are bad, but we're kind of like, it's a mystery of like, how bad is it and stuff like that.
No, there's different levels, and the more you know about filmmaking, the better. Actually, in my opinion, the more you know about filmmaking, the more enjoyable it makes it, because you know how much they either did something poorly or good, because you know where the bar is at, and you know how far and how low it can go when it comes to some of these movies.
I couldn't see a normal, like everyday suburban family sitting around the TV watching this. Even in 1994, I couldn't see it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, most likely. No, this would be that movie that a kid would watch when their parents are asleep and they were able to
late at night
or something like that. Or a couple of kids got together, like group of, like boys or whatever, and they were able to pop us in a VHS player or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so overall, I would say, I guess we both agree it is very enjoyable and watchable. Definitely not something, though, I would watch by myself. Of course, for this show, I would watch it by myself like I did. But yeah, so if you are interested, go check out LA Wars. You can find it. It's probably going to be on YouTube as well. There's got to be some kind of...
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that this movie would be unavailable.
Yeah, but I did look up. There is a Blu-ray for it, which is fucking insane that they put this on Blu-ray. Who the hell wants this on Blu-ray?
That'd be a great question. We should try to find and talk to somebody who's in charge of doing that kind of stuff. Because I'd love to know what like qualifications it takes to get a Blu-ray made
put a Blu-ray of a movie that I think, according to IMDb, there's like 500 ratings. Like, not a lot of people know about
102.
Yeah, nobody knows about this rating, and yet there is a Blu-ray for it.
I can't even get movies. I can't even get DVDs of my favorite movies that I know millions of people have seen, but that's, people want, I guess, Blu-ray copies of LA Wars.
Well, it's weird because usually lower rated movies, meaning don't have a lot of like ratings on it. Usually those times they're really hard to find. What's great about Amazon Prime Video, which is what we watched it on, they have so many shitty old movies, like just ready to go, ready to be seen, which is freaking awesome that they took the time to take this from the VHS original pressing and put it onto streaming. I think that they care about LA Wars.
They really do.
So on that
you should too.
Yeah, did you see how much I was like fighting against you to say how good the plot was in this movie?
Yes, you did a very good job. I'm very proud of you.
Exactly. Well, all right, awesome, Scrooge. What a time.
Journey.
Yeah, what a time
journey.
we had today. Maybe in the future I'll look for some other, I call them LA exploitation movies, where they just make LA look like the most grossest city in the world, and
because it is sometimes.
I guess, yeah, it is. But you know who's there to clean it up? Jake Quinn.
That's right. The Jakester and all other wonderful wonderful film law enforcement that we salute.
Of course. 100, they say back the blue. Well, you know what I say? Back the cinema blue.
Yeah,
because, we had a great time today.
Films and badges.
Of course. Well, awesome. Well, Scrooge, appreciate you suffering through this.
Thank you so much.
And at the end of the day, I'm AC.
I'm Scrooge.
And we are
Real Bad Movies. All this talk of Italian food really makes me think about just lying in a bed full of like pasta, linguine, like specifically, and just like bathing in it, just like laying back and forth as I cradle my meatballs and just feel the song.